Crash this morning. It was along I-70 eastbound near Harding on the southwest side of downtown. Only one car involved in the crash, says State Police Sergeant John Perrine. Police say he had a gun. Harrison Silcox reports on a man walking along a trail near a nature preserve.
9 Penny Branch Nature Reserve is in Clark County. That's where Charlestown police were responding to a welfare check Saturday afternoon. The person they were checking on was believed to be armed and later found walking along a trail. Officers say he was holding a gun when at least one bullet was fired from a gun pulled out of a cop's holster. State police have not identified the man shot, but he's expected to recover. The officer who fired their weapon, they were on administrative leave. Harrison Silcox, 93 WIBC Mobile News.
A person shot to death at an apartment complex on the north side Sunday. It was near 38th Street and I-65 north of downtown at the same apartment complex where someone was shot a week prior. It's time to fill out the FAFSA paperwork for your high school senior to get financial aid for college next year, except some parents are having issues getting access to that paperwork. Even Congresswoman Erin Houchin, who has to fill it out for her daughter.
It's unfortunate for these students, and we want to get to the bottom of it because it's completely unacceptable.
Talking to All Indiana Politics, now there's an investigation of the education department over why people are having that trouble. 35 points, 15 rebounds. Those are the numbers Zach Edey put up for Purdue in their win over Michigan Sunday. They need a bit of help, but the Boilers could lock up the Big Ten regular season championship with a win this coming Saturday against Michigan State. Traffic on the 5s, Matt Bear.
Crash coming into the dog leg on southbound 65. That's southbound 65 at 865 on the left shoulder. Semi-trailer involved. Not a lot of delay here. It is there. Crash 38th Street at College Avenue. That's reported as a hit and run. Traffic sponsored by Allstate. Some people just know there's a better way to do things like bundling your home and auto insurance with Allstate. Visit allstate.com or call for a quote today. I'm Matt Bear with traffic on the 5s. Follow us at WIBC Traffic.
For over 75 years, Runnings stores have earned the reputation for quality brands, fair value, and hometown-friendly service. Now Runnings is bringing those same values to you. Runnings is now open in your community. Find the widest variety of everything you and your family need for your home, on the farm, and in the outdoors. Runnings is proud to live, work, and serve in local communities across the Midwest, the Northeast, and America's heartland. Runnings is your new home, farm, and outdoor store. We look forward to seeing you soon. Learn more about us at runnings.com.
Everyone wants energy that's reliable and affordable. I've been a Duke Energy line worker here in Indiana for almost 20 years. So I'm proud to help deliver that for the people and the communities that matter most to me. With stronger, more resilient systems, better able to stand up to severe weather, and support for local businesses and jobs. It feels good knowing I'm helping build a smarter energy future for all of us.
Paid for by Duke Energy shareholders.
For a limited time, B is offering 45% off with no payments and no interest for 20 months.
That's Faber's being window. Trust me.
The forecast from the American Standard Heating Weather Center.
Sunny, very warm, record-setting temperatures possible today, a high of around 70. Tonight, partly cloudy, maybe a rumble of thunder or two overnight. A low down to 56. I'm Wish TV Storm Track 8 meteorologist Marcus Bailey for 93 WIBC.
A clear radar, 47 and sunny downtown. I'm Kurt Darling on the level, on the go, and on WIBC.com.
This hour on 93 WIBC, powered by BillEstisTrucks.com.
You're listening to Rob Kendall.
When we talk about sending money somewhere, we're talking about printing the money because we have no money.
And Casey Daniels.
My government would never lie to me, would they?
On 93 WIBC.
Good morning. It is Monday, February 26th. It is 6 minutes after 9. It's Kendall and Casey on 93 WIBC. So over the weekend, Donald Trump, he won South Carolina's Republican primary on Saturday, easily beating Nikki Haley in her home state. Oh, no. Further consolidating his path to the third straight GOP nomination.
All right, buckle up, Casey. It's going to be a day.
Good.
As we like to say in the business, and it could be because I was awakened with my child screaming for food at 5 a.m. and was not able to go back to sleep. Or it could be I'm generally just at my wits' end with society as a collective and the politicians' unwillingness to listen to the just obvious things voters are telling them. But today is going to be a good one.
Excellent. We're not going to blame it on that beautiful baby girl of yours, so let's blame it on the politicians.
You ever been headbutted by an 8-month-old? Hey, okay, so the exit poll, obviously, look, Trump wins, and it was never in doubt, and I love that the AFP, I guess, apparently has dropped all their support now from Nikki Haley. Like, they were clinging on Americans for Prosperity. Like, they were clinging on through South Carolina. They were Jim Carrey and Dumb and Dumber. So you're telling me there's a chance. They're out. It's over. But here's what's interesting about South Carolina. Not the result, but what the people actually said. And the number one, so the Washington Post has a in-depth article on exit polling. And in mass, the number one issue that people who voted for Trump, you know what they said, why they voted? The issue, that the thing that decide the quality of Trump that made them decide to pull the lever for Donald Trump was
foreign policy?
But no, was not. Would you like to try again?
Was it the border?
No, it was not.
The economy?
Well, no, Casey. Would you like to know why the number one reason in the quality of Donald Trump that people voted for him was fights for people like me?
Yeah.
89% to 11%. Donald Trump won amongst the people who said the number one quality I'm looking for is someone who will fight for people like me. And this should be such an obvious thing to these 5, 6, however many there are, underachievers, generally underachievers,
running for governor
in the state of Indiana, that people, and if you don't believe the Washington Post exit polling, maybe you'll believe the citizen surveys from Indiana Senate Republicans.
Right.
People are desperate for someone, for anyone to believe in, because they believe the entire system is absolutely rigged against them by politicians who do not care about them at all, who will sell them down the river in a moment's notice, who will give away their lives and their betterment and their sense of self-worth to donors and lobbyists at the drop of a hat. They are looking for anyone to stand up for them because they're not finding it anywhere.
No, we're sick of hearing politicians fight for themselves. It's all about them, not about us.
And this is why, overwhelmingly, in every single state so far, voters have chosen in a Republican primary to go with a guy who is about as flawed a candidate as you could possibly dream up. Because they have said, we are so sick. We are so sick of the politicians on both sides en masse, not caring about us, not fighting for us, not putting us first. And if you look at, to bring this home to the state of Indiana, the number one issue
property taxes
is property taxes. And yet not a single solitary one of these people
have a plan.
Running for governor has a plan. And if you are hearing, because we all know they listen, right? They're listening. Their people are listening. They all let us know they're listening. If you would like to be governor of the state of Indiana, that field is wide open. Somebody
start fighting for the people you want to represent.
Any of you people would like to be governor. It's going to be hard to have a property tax plan, but I promise you, if you have a plan on property taxes that people actually can believe in and get behind, you can win. Even the people who are polling at whatever it is, 1 or 2 or whatever Doden's at right now, you can win.
Does it even matter if the plan would work?
No.
It's almost like, just act like you've thought about it for a minute, other than saying we're going to look into it.
So whether
come up with something.
It is just unbelievable. I saw this and I just like I looked at this and said, it is so obvious. Whether it is Indiana Senate Republicans or does this Washington Post poll on the presidential election, people are so exhausted with politicians who do not care about them. We see this in communities across central Indiana with the irresponsible, illogical growth that is taking place with these apartment complexes and warehouses and LEAP districts and all of this stuff where the people are telling you, please stop destroying our communities. Please stop voting against our interests. Please stop putting developers and lobbyists and donors ahead of us. And you would think one of these politicians would want to grab that brass ring, Casey, that is right there, that is overwhelmingly in exit polling and citizen surveys telling you, please just think of us and put us first.
Fight for us. Do you think that the phrase drain the swamp means anything? It's almost unbelievable. And you hear all the politicians all the time, I'm going to go to D.C. and drain the swamp. Wouldn't it be better to say, I'm going to fight for you? That should be the new rally cry.
Well, so again, to bring this home, because again, there's many, let's face it, South Carolina was a snooze fest.
Yeah.
Everybody knew what was going to happen. It did happen. And there's other things that, in the exit polling that's interesting. I think another thing that kind of stood out, if we're just going to do with the nuances of polling and elections, is that overwhelmingly 2/3 of the people had made up their mind before February. So, I mean, every ad, every dollar spent, everything for the past, what has it been? What was that, 23 or 24 days? Was a complete waste of time. And the people who had made up their mind, it went the way the election went, which is 2-1. So basically the entire month of February, other than those TV and radio stations that made out like bandits, it was a colossal waste of everyone's money. But I just...
Maybe bad for the country, but it's good for business.
Like, I watched the Brad Chambers ads over the weekend, and I mean, they're on all the time. And they're laughable that he's presenting himself as an outsider.
Yeah.
Buddy, nobody believes you're anything other than an errand boy for Eric Holcomb. And you know what? People hate Eric Holcomb in their Republic. The base of the Republican Party hates Eric Holcomb. And you being his errand boy on this gross, egregious stuff like the Leap District, where you are extracting, it comes back to people who care about me. Do you think the average person looks at $500 million, which is what the Indiana General Assembly confiscated from them in this new budget, $500 million from poor and middle class people, and they are giving it to some of the richest, most wealthiest corporations, not just in the country,
in the world.
In the world. Do you think that's resonating? And Brad Chambers, as the head of the IEDC, the Secretary of Commerce, was in charge of all this. Do you think anyone with a firing synapse in their brain sees you, Brad Chambers, as an outsider? No, they see you as a hitman and a goon for the governor, in which you're ripping away farm fields, you're ripping away quality of life, you're ripping away way of life, you're trying to extract hundreds of millions of gallons of water from other communities to make the governor's pie-in-the-sky fantasy island come true. And that guy has the audacity, Casey, to run ads talking about being an outsider. Please, I beg you, Curtis Hill, Braun, Suzanne, Doden, Jamie Rittenauer, any of you 5 other people, you have a wonderful opportunity to make people believe in you. And that is not Mike Braun by running ads about how you're going to secure the southern border. You're running for governor of Indiana. It has nothing to do with the southern border. You know what you do have control over? Taxes. People's ability to afford to stay in their homes, to afford to put gas in their car. That is what they're looking for. No one believes that sees your ads that you're going to do thing one about the southern border.
Okay, well, Nikki Haley, even though she's under some growing pressure, says that she's not going to leave the race. Maybe after March 5th, known as Super Tuesday. But for now, she's staying in.
Today in South Carolina, we're getting around 40% of the vote. That's about what we got in New Hampshire, too. I'm going to count it. I know 40% is not 50%, but I also know 40% is not some tiny group. There are huge numbers of voters in our Republican primaries who are saying they want an alternative. I said earlier this week that no matter what happens in South Carolina, I would continue to run for president. I'm a woman of my word.
Just spending more money. Okay, so Joe Cunningham, he's the national director for No Labels. He said that they would consider Nikki Haley. She's somebody that they are definitely interested in. So even if she drops out of the Republican race, maybe she'll switch over and run as a independent.
She got 3 delegates, Casey. You want to? Would you like to guess how many Donald Trump got?
She lost in her home county. To Donald Trump by 30 points. Her home county, where she's from.
He got 47. She got 3. This is how the presidential primary is tabulated. It's not percentage of votes. Even if we want to pretend that getting beat 60% to 40% isn't just a complete ass kicking, you got 3 of the 50 delegates, Casey. Unbelievable.
Well, you know what? Gavin Newsom is really happy that she's staying in.
Well, I don't know why Democrats would want her out of the race. She's one of our better surrogates. I mean, she's defining the opposition to Trump incredibly effectively. I mean, she's making points I'm applauding every single day about his temperament, his capacity, his unraveling in real time. And so I think she's been incredibly effective. So I hope she stays in personally. But look, at the end of the day, it's Trump. I mean, there's not a state Nikki Haley can win. I mean, let's look realistically. You look at this map. It's beyond me why she wants to continue in this race. But again, I don't want to get in the way of that. But Trump clearly is the nominee. Biden administration understands that. The campaign understands that. We understand it at a sub-national level, at a gubernatorial level, and that's who we're up against.
Yeah. They love that she's in and staying in. She's doing their job for them. It is 18 minutes after 9. It's Kendall and Casey on 93 WIBC.
This could be one of the most consequential elections in our lifetime.
Who will be our next president? Next senator? Governor?
And just as important,
who will represent us in the General Assembly?
You have a voice with your
one vote.
Unhappy with the current state of affairs?
You can do something about it.
Voting is one of our most important rights as Americans.
It's how you can stand up for your beliefs,
your values,
and for future generations.
Registration to vote in the May primary is open through April 8th.
From 93 WIBC and Urban One.
Our country is being invaded. Thousands pour across the southern border every day, bringing fentanyl and violence. Who's to blame? Career politicians like Jim Banks. As a member of Congress, Jim Banks said that Indiana needed an influx of immigration. Jim Banks campaigned with political insiders like Paul Ryan and is endorsed by Mitch McConnell, who sabotaged the building of Trump's border wall. Jim Banks has betrayed Indiana on the border.
I'm John Rust, and I'm running to be your next United States Senator. I am a farmer, businessman, and political outsider. In the wake of the continued invasion of our border, I have challenged Jim Banks to join me in signing a pledge to remove Mitch McConnell as Republican leader in the United States Senate. It has become absolutely clear that a vote for Jim Banks is a vote for Mitch McConnell. I am John Rust. I approve this message because I'll vote to remove Mitch McConnell and make sure Trump's border wall actually gets built from the Gulf of Mexico to the Pacific Ocean.
Paid for by John Rust for U.S. Senate.
Wealth-changing question. Has your advisor created a portfolio based only on your age and risk tolerance? That's simply not good enough. Your money deserves better, and so do you. At Creative Planning, our private wealth managers learn about you first. And then they create a customized plan and portfolio by partnering with our in-house money managers, accountants, and attorneys. Don't settle for a standard portfolio. Book your free meeting today at creativeplanning.com. Creative Planning, a richer way to wealth.
Franciscan Health has been your hometown leader in heart care for decades. Recognized in 2024 by Health Grades as the #1 hospital in Indiana for cardiology and by CareChex as #1 in Indiana for major cardiac surgery and interventional coronary care, we're proud to keep the hearts of our community beating strong. Franciscan Health, where our greatest reward has always been serving you. Take a heart risk assessment or schedule an appointment at franciscanhealth.org/heartcare.
At Consumer Cellular, you get the same exact coverage as the largest carriers, but for up to half the cost. Same thing, up to half the cost. Up to half the cost for the same thing. 50% the money for 100% the same thing. I hope I'm making myself clear. Consumer Cellular. When freedom calls, we're here to answer. Call us at 1-888-FREEDOM.
Half the cost savings based on cost of Consumer Cellular single-line 5GB data plan with unlimited talk and text compared to lowest cost single-line postpaid unlimited talk, text, and data plan offered by T-Mobile and Verizon May 2023.
Welcome to Tire Discounters.
Thanks. I gotta warn you, I drive a hard bargain.
Okay.
So let's hear your first offer.
Well, how about,
yeah,
with any 4-tire purchase,
yeah,
we'll give you a free alignment.
Man, I'm good. All right, let's do it before you change your mind.
And we'll also give you a free oil change.
Ha! I can't believe I talked you into this deal. Sometimes I amaze even myself.
Don't tell accounting. But with any 4-tire purchase at Tire Discounters, you get a free alignment and a free full synthetic oil change. See store for details.
Welcome, race fans around the world.
For me, May is special.
500 miles, 33 drivers, and one guaranteed place in history. This is the greatest spectacle in racing.
May is yours.
Joseph Newgarden wins
the Indy 500.
May is ours. Is it May yet?
Get tickets for the 108th running of the Indianapolis 500 presented by Gainbridge at IMS.com.
Let Bill Estes put you behind the wheel of the powerhouse brands that define American toughness. Ford, Chevy, Ram, and GMC. BillEstesTrucks.com. BillEstesTrucks.com.
You're listening to Rob Kendall.
I gotta tell you, I can't stand that guy.
And Casey Daniels.
I'm in love, and I don't care who knows it.
On 93 WIBC.
Welcome back.
Hey, Kevin's back. Welcome back. How was your trip?
It was awesome. Glad to be back, though. It was, yeah, it was a nice little break, though.
So you went to Europe for 2 weeks.
Yeah, I went to the UK. I was in Northern Ireland, Scotland, and England.
You had 2 weeks of vacation for the whole year, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And you said, I'm blowing them in February.
Yeah, cheapest time to travel around the UK, actually.
Really?
Yeah.
Is there a reason for that?
I think just because no one else is going over there.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a pretty odd time to go over there, but yeah, I wanted to seize the opportunity.
What is it like as someone who has never left the country? I always picture it being, I used to have dreams when I was a kid, Casey, like I would end up on the sands of Iraq and it would be like some foreign land where everything was upside down.
You think somebody's going to put you in a box and ship you out without your knowledge? Like,
well, there's a lot of people who'd like to do that,
you'd have
Casey.
to choose to go there, you know.
But in my world, in my dreams, when I would go to these foreign lands, it was this mythical place where everything was weird and they would have giant dragons and things like that.
Yeah.
What is it actually like to fly, to leave the country and then up into another country? I mean, you've obviously done this before you lived over there, but is it like, do you get, if you were to, okay, let's say you'd closed your eyes, what is it, a 6-hour flight probably?
Yeah, it's about a 6-hour flight.
So let's say you had taken a 6-hour nap and you had awakened.
Yeah.
Would you know you're in another country?
Yeah, definitely, especially with the accents and everything. But I think you adjust to it pretty quickly.
But I'm not talking about I'm talking about if you were to step out into the open, is it like in my dream where the sands are sucking you down under like a Super Mario Brothers Nintendo game, or in this case, you know, there's obviously vast fields and mountain range. Like, do you know, if you were to know, would you know I'm in another country?
I don't know. I touched down in Belfast. And there's, you know, a lot of greenery and some hills and things. But honestly, it's the first...
Could be Wisconsin.
Yeah, like it could be Wisconsin or something like that. But that's just the first impression. Obviously, you get
Till
deeper.
you saw him driving on the other side of the road.
Yeah, once you get into the city...
you tried to pay for something.
Yeah, exactly.
The currency's different.
So based on your videos that you posted to the Uno Gold Instagram, I assume that's you that's posting those videos of yourself.
Yeah.
On the Uno Gold Instagram.
We've got some.
Oh, do we?
Yeah. Do you want to hear some of it?
Oh my goodness.
This is...
Is it safe for radio?
Casey was the one who put this together, actually. So
is this a montage?
It's a quick montage, and it's what I texted you. I think Kevin is drunk in Liverpool. So what, you were doing some karaoke there in Liverpool?
Yeah, I was singing some karaoke with the Scousers.
Let's look like all you did was go to various pubs, get drunk off your ass, and sing out of tune. That looked like all you did.
That's all I planned on doing.
That's a good vacation, I guess.
Exactly.
So you did do some sort of Beatles tour, you said.
Yeah, I did the Magical Mystery bus tour, and I saw all the Beatles' childhood homes. I saw where Eleanor Rigby is buried. I saw where the Beatles met.
Yeah.
We actually sang Penny Lane while we were driving down Penny Lane. So it was very cool. It was very magical.
Now, you had told us before, because you lived in Germany for a while, right?
Yeah.
You were a fan of perusing the red light district, and you would look at the dancing girls in the windows. We had that discussion before. Do they have any of those over there?
Not really, actually. I didn't see any dancing girls or anything, but...
Tell us about the blonde you were singing with.
Oh?
Yeah, I met her at the Grapes pub in Liverpool.
What's the name of it?
Yeah, the Grapes.
Pub.
Actually, famously, I believe it's where the original Beatles drummer, Pete Best, was fired.
You don't want to talk about a guy that got totally screwed.
Pete Best?
Because he got, not only did he get knocked out of being, because let's face it, Ringo Starr is a terrible drummer. let's face it, if you've ever actually listened, and I can say this, Casey, because I got 104% in my history of the Beatles class at IUPUI. Not only I did so well, I got an A++. And our professor and I had a lengthy conversation about this one time, about what a horrific drummer Ringo was. And the guy teaching the history of the Beatles class was like, yeah, he sucked.
Well,
he wasn't very
would
good.
you agree? You are a drummer, Kevin. Do you think that Ringo was a bad drummer?
I think he was kind of sloppy.
Yeah.
I mean, I think he was like creative with his drumming patterns, but he was a little sloppy. And even the other Beatles would say that he would never practice.
Yeah, so if you were to say who would be the drummer for the, look, I'll concede, obviously by popular fame, whatever, not my opinion, but greatest rock group of all time, wouldn't you think it would be like Keith Moon or John Bonham or someone like that? Not Ringo Starr. So it wasn't as if they replaced Ringo or replaced Pete Best with some, massively all-time great drummer. And so Pete Best then not only gets axed out of all the fame and the glitz and glamour at the time,
right,
but all the money for all those years. Now, I think they cut him some sort of something when they did that Beatles anthology or the Beatles thing that was on PBS. I think and they did that CD. I think they let him in on part of the loot for that. But you're talking probably hundreds of millions of dollars they cost that guy, and not one more or less person would have succumbed to Beatlemania if it had been Pete Best instead of Ringo.
Yeah, people weren't happy about that when it first happened. They would say Ringo never, Pete forever.
Yeah. So anyway, sorry, didn't mean to distract you. There was a woman there that you were friends with.
Oh yeah, I met her. We were basically,
local?
I guess she might have been from London actually. But yeah, I met her at the Grapes, and to be honest, it's kind of a blur to me. I was pretty hammered. But I ended up on stage with her, sang a duet. We were singing Oasis.
I picture all the people driving around with, what's the flag called? The Union Jack on their cars. Is that the way it works?
And they also, in Liverpool, they have a strong Irish heritage. So they're very proud of that.
All right, you know who is great American is Kurt Darling.
We've got the news coming up. It's 93 WIBC.
Did you know if you have water, storm, or fire damage, the first step is on you? Yikes. It's your responsibility to mitigate damages. Mitigate? Yeah, that's a fancy word for call Michaelis. They'll take it from there, from boarding up, cleaning up, and fixing up, to getting you squared up with your insurance company, which is a whole other mess you can avoid. Make it Michaelis. Call 844-FIX-INDY.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level. On the go.
What's more realistic? Radar is clear, already getting warmer, 51 and sunny downtown. I'm Kirk Darling. Here's what's trending at 9:30. More post-war talk as the White House continues to push for a solution between Israel and Palestinians. Fox's Jonathan Savage.
The White House says a two-state solution, one nation for Israelis and another for Palestinians, is the only hope for a lasting peace. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu telling Fox that's not realistic given the attitude of Hamas.
What they want is a one-state solution. They don't want a state next to Israel. They want a state instead of Israel.
He also described today's resignation of the Palestinian Prime Minister in the West Bank as musical chairs. Jonathan Savage, Fox News.
The chairwoman of the RNC will be stepping aside. Ronna McDaniel announced earlier today that she'll be giving up that post next month after former President Trump endorsed North Carolina GOP Chairman Michael Whatley for the national job. McDaniel said serving as chair for 7 years has been an honor and a privilege. Your opening bell report on 93 WIBC, brought to you by Absolute Wealth Management, LLC. Stocks are mostly unchanged at the opening bell today. The Dow is down at 10 to 39,179. The NASDAQ is up 11 to 18,002. And the S&P 500 is right where it started at 5,101. I'm Kirk Darling, on the level, on the go, and on WIBC.com.
Some days I cover up because of my moderate to severe plaque psoriasis. Now I'm hitting the road with clearer skin thanks to Skyrizi, Risankizumab Riza, a prescription-only 150 milligram injection for adults who are candidates for systemic or phototherapy. With Skyrizi, 3 out of 4 people achieved 90% clearer skin at 4 months. And Skyrizi is just 4 doses a year after 2 starter doses. Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions and an increased risk of infections or a lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check for infection and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor if you have an infection or symptoms such as fever, sweats, chills, muscle aches, or cough, or if you plan to or recently received a vaccine.
Thanks to Skyrizi, there's nothing on my skin, and that means everything. Ask your doctor today about Skyrizi, the #1 dermatologist-prescribed biologic in psoriasis, and visit skyrizi.com or call 1-866-SKYRIZI to learn more.
Did you know one of the best investments you can make? It's in yourself. At My Computer Career, in just a few months, you could start your new career in the high-demand, recession-resistant field of information technology. Isn't it time you invest in you and start a career in networking, cybersecurity, AI, or upskill to boost your current IT career? So, get the ROI you deserve at My Computer Career. No experience necessary. Start now at mycomputercareer.edu.
Financial aid is available for qualified students, including the GI Bill.
Hey, it's Big Joe for your trusted local independent American Standard heating and air conditioning dealer, Absolute Comfort. Chris Wedekin is the owner, and he tells us why many homeowners are giving up their air conditioners for a high-efficiency heat pump.
By removing your air conditioner and replacing it with a heat pump, you are not only saving by getting a higher efficiency air conditioner, the heat pump works in reverse and saves you money in the wintertime as well.
See if a heat pump is the right move for you by going to AbsoluteComfort.org. Absolute Comfort is your trusted local independent American Standard heating and air conditioning dealer.
My brother never checks on Dad. Or, my sister won't make time to take Mom to the doctor. Are these things you've heard yourself say? This is Tina McIntosh, president of Joy's House and co-host of the Caregiver Crossing radio program. I have a caregiving tip for you. Stay tuned.
At Cardon Senior Living Communities, you'll find our teams share a commitment to enhancing the lifestyle and well-being of the people we serve every day at every stage of life.
Expressing anger or resentment toward unsupportive siblings can cause unmendable rifts in relationships. Don't try to control everyone else. You can only control yourself. The success of your caregiving journey does not rest on others. So enjoy the time with your loved one. This is your special time with them. More tips like this are available anytime at caregivercrossingradio.org. With new weekly content created by Joy's House and distributed in partnership with Network Indiana, we're an on-air and online support group for Hoosier family caregivers. Hear conversations with experts, access a library of online education, and more at caregivercrossingradio.org.
I'm from Perry Township, down on the south side of Indianapolis. My family, we're Southside Catholics. We believe in hard work and keeping our word.
Indiana businessman Jefferson Shreve.
I was still in school when I started my own business, but I made sure those values were at its core. Keep your word, serve your customers, and work your tail off. But let's talk about the mess we're in today. The left's pushing their agenda, our culture's under attack from the far left, and don't even get me started on the border. I took on the left and their lawlessness in Indianapolis, and now it's bleeding into our suburbs and rising from our southern border. It's time to fix the problem in Congress. And we could fix this if the politicians would just do what they say they will, like we do in our business. But they don't. We need a fighter. We need law and order and liberty. And so I'm running for Congress. For law, order, and a secure border, I'm Jefferson Shreve, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Shreve for Congress.
You're listening to the Kendall and Casey Show on 93 WIBC.
I'd like to be under the sea.
She's leaving after 7 years at the Post. It is 9:36 with Kendall and Casey on 93 WIBC. 7 years at the helm of the GOP. Ronna McDaniel going to step down. It's probably going to happen, after Super Tuesday. I believe she said her last day is going to be March 8th.
Isn't it wild? So we work in radio, and we always kid that every day, you're hired to be fired.
Mm-hmm.
And every day could be your last day. Now, knock on wood, I've made it 8 years now here, which is, it's like the cat, right? I'm on life number, I don't know what one. Having dealt with management multiple times, it's sure not life number one, Casey.
Nope.
But the point is, the time span of our career, you produce or you're out. You must produce because we must sell ads based on your production, or you're out. But yet in politics and government, it sometimes seems no matter how bad you screw up, they just simply won't get rid of you.
You get to stay. Not the case for her. She was handpicked by Donald Trump.
But how
right?
did she make it this long?
And
So
now
look-
he's handpicking to uninvite her.
But he's handpicked her like multiple times. They've had opportunities to get rid of her.
Yeah.
By the way, it's super scary that one guy is now dictating the entire Republican Party. I don't care if you love Trump, hate Trump, whatever. That is not the way it should be working in terms of an actual apparatus, because the party, the job of the party should be to elect like-minded people in terms of policies and positions. But when you have one guy who, let's face it, Trump is an outlier in the Republican Party to begin with, and you have him hand-selecting people, and we all know Trump's interested in Trump.
Mm-hmm.
Well, hey, you lost this Senate race in Montana. Those are the breaks. Did I win? I mean, so I do.
How does this affect me?
Yeah, I do wonder how that's going to play out. But isn't it fascinating? So she was 18 was a disaster. I mean, they did pick up seats in the Senate, but that was because they had all sorts of deep red seats like Indiana that were held by, blue senators and Joe Donnelly. They got slaughtered in the House. Then 2020 was a disaster. 2022 was a total I guess they technically got the House, but nowhere near what was projected.
Right.
The Senate, they didn't win the Senate. And yet she just kept getting, and even after all that, they then reappointed her again. Like, what could you possibly do to get fired from that job?
Well, it's interesting you say that it's about Trump, too, because isn't he the one who's endorsing his daughter-in-law?
Well, that's also a little concerning. And again, it comes back to if you're invested in Trump, let's just take the Trump presidency out of the equation. And let's talk about what the other races mean, which is if you want Trump to be successful, you need at least 51-49 in the Senate. Probably you need 54 to 55 to have a legitimate shot, because there's always going to be the Susan Collins, Romney-esque type people who defect. So you're going to need 54, 55 senators, and you're going to need, as we're seeing in the House, you're going to need a 10 to 15 vote margin there. So you have a vested interest in whoever the party chair is being able to come up with policies and platforms and raise money and attract candidates that will be there to be able to lift the Trump agenda.
Well, I think the one thing that people started to question was her money spending and what she was spending all of the money on, because it wasn't effective.
Here's the problem they have, though, is as long as Trump is either handpicking candidates for these Senate seats primarily, or putting his thumb on the scale of influence, it's going to continue to be an uphill struggle. Because look at Pennsylvania. They had a slam dunk, probably freebie there in terms of, and look, this pains me to say, but the Bush pick, right? The guy who was the Bush choice, and he was a revered, respected, longtime resident Pennsylvania, had been in various government positions, et cetera. And you gave it away, not for some staunch conservative. Hey, if you told me it's a rock-solid liberty and freedom person, okay, game on. But for Dr. Oz. For Dr. Oz. And the Trump-picked guy in Nevada went down, and the Trump-picked guy in Arizona went down. And so Trump does not have a great track record. I mean, J.D. Vance dramatically, while he won, underperformed the other state ballot candidates in Ohio. So these Trump-picked people, for whatever reason,
weren't so great.
Are not.
Well, they're looked at as carpetbaggers.
Well, and look, I'm not saying that Trump can't have some influence, but what I'm saying is I do not ever remember the nominee for president having the level of sway and input that Trump has had on down ballot races, and certainly to the level of involvement that Trump has had. And the results have not been great. And so this is going to be a major problem for whoever, because it looks like it's going to be this guy from North Carolina, and then it's going to be the chair, and then you're going to have Trump's daughter-in-law
right,
as the vice chair. This is not a recipe for success, Casey.
Well,
based on history.
We'll see. Something that happened over the weekend, a couple things. There was another balloon that was flying over the country. No. It was intercepted by the aircraft in Utah.
Oh, they got this one.
Yeah, they said this one was likely it was a hobby balloon. Unlike the one a year ago that flew off
Just a
the
giant
entire
balloon.
country, right? But again, another balloon. And didn't they say that they upped all of the ability to spot these balloons sooner?
What do you call somebody that is it a balloonist? Like if you are into weather ballooning, are you a balloonist?
Yeah.
Maybe we have someone in our audience that could tell us, either at Rob M. Kendall, at Casey Daniels 317 on Twitter, or 317-684-8444. How hard is it to shoot your actual own balloon of any size into the air?
What do you mean? Get it up there flying?
Yeah, like, I mean, and let it float across the... I'm talking a balloon of some size. Obviously, you could get a balloon with helium in it and let it off into the air.
I feel like Denny would know something about
Denny
that.
Smith?
Yeah.
And he's
like he'd be an expert on balloons.
Denny Smith is our one avid listener, so maybe if he is listening, because Denny Smith is a pilot, right? So maybe Denny Smith, and he's an inventor and everything else, so maybe
he knows.
He could let us know how hard is it to shoot an actual balloon up into the air. Yeah.
But again, you've got another small balloon continuing to fly across the United States at a high altitude. And they say that this one didn't pose a national security threat. Does that mean the last one did?
Well, that's a great question. And they let that go all the way across the country.
Right, exactly. Another thing that happened over the weekend was Shane Gillis was the host of Saturday Night Live. The guy.
That's the guy.
Who, with the meme.
The meme. So
that you were trying to talk about.
Yes. Okay. So I guess this guy, I'm so embarrassed now because I guess this guy is actually famous.
Yeah, he's like probably the most famous comedian at the moment.
Really?
I think so.
Oh my, well, you didn't know really who it was either in the beginning.
No, I knew who.
You didn't know who it was.
When I saw the picture of him, I knew who you were talking
very good.
about.
I didn't know what meme you were talking about.
So for those of you, if we go back in the time machine, there's this meme that I see all the time that I think is hilarious. It's this Shane Gillis guy who he's pointing a gun like at him, and it's meant to be like kind of you use the GIF now if somebody's like causing self-harm or debating a harm on the masses, not like literally shooting people, but it's him pointing a gun at the masses and everybody goes, "Woo!" And then he points a gun on himself and everybody goes, "Woo!" Yeah. I'm sure you've seen this GIF at some point. It's hilarious. I don't watch television, Casey, and you know me, I don't, other than just deep, I'm a philosopher and a thinker and a learned person. So unless it's some sort of periodical or, university type publication, I don't, read into pop culture. So I had no idea who this guy was.
Right.
But he's the guy.
He's the guy. He was fired back from SNL back in 2019
for something controversial, right?
Yeah, he was only a member of their cast for like 24 hours.
Yeah,
and they found something on his Twitter.
Oh, okay, he said something. Okay,
yeah.
And now he has
something inappropriate.
An internet show, right? You were saying he's something
Is
YouTube,
something like Gilly and Sons, or I don't know. I forget the name of it, but it's like a sketch comedy show.
And he goes around the country as a stand-up comedian. Okay.
And he was hosting Saturday Night Live.
They brought him
over
back.
The weekend. They did, and he made some pretty funny jokes, a lot about Trump. But there was this one skit that he did where he was featuring Donald Trump's new shoes, the sneakers, right? And he was saying all the ways that when you wear the sneakers, it will make you better, but just more confident to double down on what you're saying. It won't actually help your skill. It'll just give you the confidence to say you've got the skill.
He gets whoever he wants.
Wow, that was the most fantastic lovemaking you've ever had.
Not really. It only lasted
2 hours. That was a 2-hour love session. You had a big O in there, a very big O. But
I did? Oh. Want to go again?
I'd love to, but you're too tired.
I thought that was one of the better skits that they did. And that's going to lead us into something else we need to talk about after the break. And that was that your president talked about the key to his good marriage. Oh, no. Yep, we're going to go there on the way from 93 WIBC.
Coming up on Tony Katz today, Nikki Haley loses big, so of course she's not leaving the race. That's after the news at noon on 93 WIBC.
For John's 60th birthday, his family planned to drive down Old Route 66. But the trip took a detour when his wife got sick with RSV. It's a highly contagious virus that can lead to breathing problems and hospitalizations.
This year, we don't want to cancel our plans. We're protecting ourselves with Pfizer's RSV vaccine, Abrysvo, respiratory syncytial virus vaccine.
Abrysvo, a vaccine to prevent lower respiratory disease from RSV in people 60 years and older. It's not for everyone and may not protect all who receive it. Don't get Abrysvo if you've had an allergic reaction to its ingredients. A weakened immune system may decrease your response. Most common side effects are tiredness, headache, injection site pain, and muscle pain. For full prescribing information, please call 1-844-989-7284 or visit abrysvo.com.
So don't wait. Ask your pharmacist or doctor about Pfizer's RSV vaccine, Abrysvo, because every breath matters.
Hey, boss, what's got you so down today?
We just lost another customer to Diamonds Direct. Guy's been with us for years. Went over there and, well, now he's in love with those people. I don't know what they do.
Want me to go secret shop Diamonds Direct again, sir?
Remind me what we learned the last time you did that.
Well, you know, they're really good, sir. They got like 10 times the selection we have. They have those top designers that we're not allowed to carry. They're telling people the inside secrets on how to buy diamonds. They give free service on stuff like cleaning and sizing, the things you charge extra for. And they're nice people. Everybody's smiling over there.
Okay, stop. I know. It's impossible to compete with Diamonds Direct. I mean, even my accountant just upgraded his wife's engagement ring there and got her a 3-carat.
Wait a minute. I thought your brother was your accountant.
He is.
Are you getting all you deserve from your jeweler? You might be surprised. Maybe it's time to get the value, the selection, the quality, the education, and the service you deserve at Diamonds Direct. Get details, showroom hours, directions, and more at diamondsdirect.com.
Did you know that the tubs and showers installed by most bathroom remodelers aren't waterproof? I'm not kidding. They're not waterproof. That's because the other guys cheap out and put acrylic caulk directly on acrylic tub and shower panels. You can't do that. Water will seep through, and then you've got mold, mildew, and rot. To do it right, you have to first prime the surfaces, then apply the caulk, then you have to seal the caulk. It's a 3-step process. Prime, apply, seal. If you've ever seen shower seams with mold growing on them, well, now you know why. Some cheapskate decided to save $25 in materials and 20 minutes of labor, and now you have a mold and mildew problem. Call Baths R Us instead. We never cut corners. We always take our time to do it right for a 100% waterproof installation every single time. Call now and get $1,500 off plus loads and no monthly payments. Our number is 317-886-1761 or online at bathsrus.com. That's bathsrus.com.
My husband Bob has Parkinson's and he needs more help now, and I need more support to help him. Thanks to Indiana Pathways for Aging, we're getting the support we need to help him right here at home, like with meal prep and basic personal care and even respite support for me.
Pathways provides Hoosier Medicaid members, age 60 and over, support for care their way, so they can live life their way. Eligible members can select a plan now. Call 87-PATHWAY-4 or visit in.gov/pathways.
He was born in the summer of his 27th
He has
year.
long spoken of his love and devotion to his wife, saying it's more important to him than anything else. 10 minutes in front of 10. It's Kendall and Casey on 93 WIBC. But now he's saying the one thing that's keeping their marriage together and so strong is their good sex. That's what Joe Biden said about his wife, Jill.
Oh, my gosh.
Yep.
That's so gross.
They've been married for 47 years.
Oh, my gosh.
And I guess it's a joke that he often tells his staff. He talks about their sex life.
Wow.
And now it's going to be detailed in a new book that is coming out on Tuesday. Katie Rogers is the author of the book. It's called American Women. And Joe Biden can't help himself but talking about, getting dirty. Posturpedic polka, the Sealy shuffle.
I can't think of anything. Like if you were
Grosser?
That is horrible, Casey.
She's not happy about it, I guess, that he puts it out there.
That Jill Biden is not happy that he. Well, look, you don't want to think about your grandparents, having interpersonal relations. Mock and I used to kid all the time. There are a lot of couples you wouldn't mind thinking about them having interpersonal relations. We used to, joke about that all the time when she was here. The Bidens would not be one of those.
You don't want to picture that?
It's just wrong. And the fact that he keeps like presenting himself as some sort of sex machine when he can't even walk off a stage or he can't even, he's talking to dead people. And, you know, like there are some 80-year-old people who you're like, that guy probably still has some prowess about him. Like, I don't know how old Arnold Schwarzenegger is. I don't know how old Sylvester Stallone is. Hell, was it Robert De Niro or Al Pacino just had a kid? So clearly they're doing something. And it's like you would look at those guys who are nearing that age and go, okay, you know, I can still probably see that through let me do with air quotes here, good genetics. You know, but Joe Biden doesn't even know where he's at or how to get off a stage or how to form complete sentences. He can't walk a lot of the time. No one believes that he is just, you know, a dime store novel character at this point in his existence.
Back in 2006, when he was running for office for the Democratic nomination, he said, "I'd rather be at home making love to my wife while my children are asleep."
Why my children are asleep?
Yeah.
His children are 50 plus years old.
And when this came out and he said that they had such good sex, the one thing I'm picturing is her kissing Doug Emhoff, Kamala's husband. So, like, what's going on there?
Oh, my gosh. This is gross, Casey. This is so... I don't even know what the words are. There's so many things I want to say, but I don't think I can actually say them, or I would get in trouble, and this station would get maybe in trouble. So I'm just going to say that's disgusting and patently untrue that I believe they ever actually have relations anymore at this point.
Well, I mean, he needs her help putting a jacket on.
Yeah. And
I do mean like a sports coat.
Right.
You know, it's...
By the
way... Do you
way...
think they...
You say it, Casey. Come on. How come I always have to lead these interpersonal relations segments? You take the lead for once. You put your career on the line. It's always me that has to take the lead.
I just have to imagine she has to lead him to the bed.
They don't do anything, Casey.
To go to sleep, let alone anything else.
No.
He was given a speech over the weekend, and this is him, again, malfunctioning. He's trying to do a big quote, and he can't even get that right.
And, you know, stand here in front of this portrait of the man behind me here. He said, and I want to make sure I get the quote exactly right. He said, the better angel, he said, we must address the council and adjust the better angels of our nature. And we do well to remember. What else he said? He said, we're not enemies, but we're friends. It's in the part of the Civil War. He said, we're not enemies, but we're friends. We must not be enemies. Folks, and I've been around, I know I don't look it, I've been around a long while. And I mean this sincerely. Politics has gotten too bitter.
He's Magic Mike on the weekends, Casey.
Yes, he is. It is Kendall and Casey. It's 93 WIBC. Good morning.
Our country is being invaded. Thousands pour across the southern border every day, bringing fentanyl and violence. Who's to blame? Career politicians like Jim Banks. As a member of Congress, Jim Banks said that Indiana needed an influx of immigration. Jim Banks campaigned with political insiders like Paul Ryan and is endorsed by Mitch McConnell, who sabotaged the building of Trump's border wall. Jim Banks has betrayed Indiana on the border.
I'm John Rust, and I'm running to be your next United States Senator. I am a farmer, businessman, and political outsider. In the wake of the continued invasion of our border, I have challenged Jim Banks to join me in signing a pledge to remove Mitch McConnell as Republican leader in the United States Senate. It has become absolutely clear that a vote for Jim Banks is a vote for Mitch McConnell. I am John Rust. I approve this message because I'll vote to remove Mitch McConnell and make sure Trump's border wall actually gets built from the Gulf of Mexico to the Pacific Ocean.
Paid for by John Rust for U.S. Senate.
If you're facing $10,000, $20,000, even $30,000 or more in credit card debt, medical bills, or other unsecured debt, stop struggling to stay afloat and call Accredited Debt Relief today for faster relief. Depending on your financial situation, you may qualify for a 40% or higher reduction in your monthly payments and only have to make one consolidated monthly payment you can afford. Accredited Debt Relief has helped over 300,000 qualified consumers pay off over $1 billion in debt, earning them an A-plus rating from the Better Business Bureau. This is the light at the end of the debt tunnel to become debt-free. So make the call to Accredited Debt Relief now and see how much you can save. There's no obligation, so call now and get relief from your debt faster.
Call 800-222-4544. 800-222-4544. That's 800-222-4544. Program and services not available in all states.
Garage Doors of Indianapolis has been a local, family-owned and operated business for nearly 50 years and helps keep Central Indiana's economy strong by employing over 70 families. Garage Doors of Indianapolis stands by their products and services while they share and embrace our conservative values. So when you have garage door problems, call them today for service today. Garage Doors of Indianapolis, 875-4577, 875-4577, or visit doorstoday.com.
Calling all coffee lovers. Get ready for the grand opening of the Life Church Coffee House in Noblesville this April. Join us for a warm and welcoming atmosphere, delicious coffee and pastries, and a chance to connect with friends and community. Hey, this is Pastor Micah Beckwith. Whether you're looking for a place to relax, study, or meet up with others, the Life Church Coffee House will be the perfect spot. We'll be serving up your favorite coffee drinks along with a variety of pastries and snacks. So mark your calendars for the grand opening of the Life Church Coffee House in Noblesville this April. We can't wait to see you there. Go to lifechurchin.com for more information.
Discovery, innovation, progress. It all starts right here at IU Indianapolis. We're making cutting-edge discoveries in science, technology, and healthcare. We're investing in Indiana's future with degrees that make a difference. We're partnering with local businesses to drive our city forward. And we're just getting started. See where we're going at indianapolis.iu.edu/start.
The Fed's new FedNow system is all about surveillance and control. Secure your assets today with something Washington cannot manipulate. Hi, Stephen K. Bannon, and I recommend diversifying your retirement into a physical gold IRA from Birch Gold Group. To learn more, get a free info kit by texting the word SHELTER to 989898. Do this right now. Text SHELTER to the number 989898 and get a free info kit from Birch Gold. There's no obligation or purchase required.
Message and data rates may apply.
Coming up in 2 minutes, what to expect once it's here. Severe weather is on the way to Indiana. Plus, a teacher in northern Indiana died at the school where they worked over the weekend, and trouble with the FAFSA. You're not alone if you're having issues with it this year. I'm Kurt Darling. That and more coming up from the Technology Recycler Studios after Fox News Radio at the top of the hour. You're listening to 93 WIBC, WIBC HD1 Indianapolis. It's 10 o'clock.
Trying to get Palestinians, civilians, out of harm's way. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. Israel's prime minister says they're working on evacuations ahead of their next offensive in Gaza in the city of Rafah, where more than 1 million civilians are sheltering.
Hamas will be doing everything in their power to make sure that we don't evacuate the civilians because they actually try to stop them at gunpoint.
He also tells Fox the Palestinian government reorganization underway today is musical chairs.
They have to stop teaching and indoctrinating a whole generation on the annihilation of Israel. That's real reform.
A U.S. Air Force member has died. That after setting himself on fire outside Israel's embassy in Washington, protesting what he called genocide in Gaza, Aaron Bushnell even shouted Free Palestine as he was engulfed in flames, live streaming it all online. Now an update on the Russian opposition leader who died in prison a week and a half ago. Fox's Jonathan Savage reports.
Maria Pevchik is the chair of Alexei Navalny's Anti-Corruption Foundation. In a video on his YouTube channel, she claims a prisoner swap deal was in its final stages, but Russian President Vladimir Putin simply couldn't take it. She says Navalny was killed, something the Kremlin denies.
In what's now a 30-year war in Ukraine, Russian forces have taken over another village near the city of Avdiivka. Ukrainian troops also had to give that up earlier this month. A change for the Republican Party. Ronna McDaniel will step down March 8th as National Committee Chair.
While Donald Trump helped elevate McDaniel to her role 7 years ago, he has since soured on her performance and what some see as the RNC's lackluster fundraising efforts.
Recently, Trump made it crystal clear he's ready to see changes at the RNC.
Fox's Mark Meredith. The next Republican primaries tomorrow in Michigan, days after former President Trump beat Nikki Haley by 20 points in South Carolina. The Supreme Court is about to hear a social media case as industry groups challenge laws in Florida and Texas aiming to stop social media companies from censoring or removing content they say that violates their First Amendment rights. America's listening to Fox News.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
When will it get here? Radar is clear, already getting even warmer. 51 downtown. I'm Kirk Darling. Here's what's trending at 10:02. Meteorologists aren't sure yet, but rest assured it will get here sometime tomorrow. David Beechler with the National Weather Service talking about some strong storms.
There's a system that's developing out across the plains. It's going to be lifting up to the Great Lakes region, and then kind of sets the stage for central Indiana to see severe weather.
He says central Indiana northward will likely be getting damaging winds, hail, heavy rain, and quite possibly some tornadoes. He also says you'll see highs in the low 70s by this afternoon. A person shot to death at an apartment complex Sunday. It was near 38th Street and I-65 north of downtown at the Residence at White River apartment home. It was the same apartment complex where someone was shot a week prior. A teacher in northern Indiana told a family member that he was going to be working a little late. Well, he ended up dead the next day. Sam Fritz explains.
The East Chicago Police Department say they were called to a school on Friday around 6:40 a.m. after a maintenance worker discovered the dead body of a teacher in a stairwell. ECPD identified the body as Craig Jones of Gary. Jones's cause of death is under investigation, but police do not suspect foul play. Investigators did discover that Jones had called a family member earlier in the night saying he'd be working late and never came out of the school when the family member came to pick them up. Sam Fritz, 93 WIBC Mobile News.
A man shot by a cop in Charlestown. Police there say that they were called to a nature preserve near the town about a suicidal man walking the trails with a gun. It's not clear what led to it, but one of the cops fired their gun, wounding the man. Some parents, like Andrea Radcliffe in Westfield, have been having some issues with the new FAFSA paperwork for their high school senior rolled out by the White House.
I had set that up, or so I thought, and then when I waited the time that they said to wait and went back to log in, it didn't work.
Well, other parents have been having similar issues with the FAFSA website. Now, government watchdog organizations are investigating the DOE over the same issues. I'm Kirk Darling, on the level, on the go, and on WIBC.com.
Here's another remarkable success story from QC Kinetics. This one from Chad, who hurt his knee at the gym one day, and it just kept on hurting for months.
From my high school football and wrestling days, I already had a little bit of damage in there, but this just sent it over the edge.
Chad tried traditional treatments with no improvement when he turned to the non-surgical regenerative treatments at QC Kinetics.
It was really fascinating how they did their work, and the science behind it was very intriguing, and it works. Extracting the cure out of my own body blew my mind. It's like I'm brand new again. It was fantastic.
That's because the QC Kinetics natural biologic treatments use your body's own healing power to restore damaged tissue in your hips, shoulders, back, and knees, providing long-lasting relief.
Now I'm back at the gym. I'm 100%, feeling great.
If you're tired of suffering with pain from arthritis or injury, call QC Kinetics now for a free consultation.
Call QC Kinetics, 463-235-7160. That's 463-235-7160. In Eagle Creek and Greenwood, 463-235-7160.
This hour on 93 WIBC, powered by BillEstisTrucks.com.
You're listening to Rob Kendall.
When we talk about sending money somewhere, we're talking about printing the money because we have no money.
And Casey Daniels.
My government would never lie to me, would they?
On 93 WIBC.
Good morning. It is Monday, February 26th. It's 5 minutes after 10. You're listening to Kendall and Casey on 93 WIBC. So over the weekend, South Carolina had their primary. And one of the things that they do, besides asking people in these exit polls who they're going to vote for, they ask them a litany of other questions just to get a good picture of what's going on and what people are thinking. CNN was asking people, do you think Biden legitimately won in 2020? 65% of people said no, 32% said yes.
That seems about right, doesn't it? In terms of, I'd say 65% of the Republican Party has, and the base, or whatever you want to call it, has common sense and recognizes that it's highly unlikely that at the time, late 70s, man who was clearly slipping in cognitive ability, who never left it or rarely left his house, won 81 million legal votes.
He did it from his basement. It was those mail-in ballots that put him over the top.
Of course. I mean, so I think any person, and we talked about this before. Now, do I believe in every conspiracy theory under the sun that's out there? No, of course not. Are there some of them that are just ridiculous? Yes. However, it takes zero leap of faith to recognize that in a place like Pennsylvania, where when you have on a moment's notice a decision without any real guardrails or forethought or thinking anything through, that you're just going to start sending ballots to people without any sort of verification of who received the ballot, who filled out the ballot, or who sent the ballot back in. It doesn't take, you don't have to be a radical right-winger to go, that's pretty weird and probably really open to fraud. And things like that, I don't think it makes you any sort of conspiracy theorist or weirdo or insurrectionist or anything else to say that probably isn't on the level.
Just to question it. Well, here is CNN, and I can't tell if they sound surprised or unhappy about these results.
Do you think Biden legitimately won the 2020 election? Here in South Carolina, in this primary today, only a third, 32%, say that he did legitimately win. Only a third give the correct answer to this question. 2/3, 65%, wrongly say that Joe Biden did not legitimately win the 2020 election, but that is what they believe, obviously, after hearing so much of that from Donald Trump and others. Again,
No. That's not why they believe that. They believe that because they looked at what happened in the country. They looked at what happened on election night. We've talked about this many times before. My good friend Ben Stein, who is by no means an only Trumper. He's as establishment Republican as you can possibly get, said on his podcast that I used to be a part of, that it was and he's an economist, right? That's what he's done for a living. And he is, a Bush, Nixon, as, right, down the middle Republican as you can get. And even he said, he goes, it's a statistical impossibility what happened. Where all of those states, Trump was leading at midnight. He went to bed, he was so certain that he would win. And you wake up the next day and just magically, all of these states that Biden needed, they just all flipped.
It's so interesting, though. That is your media right now. This guy is standing in front of this big board, and it's got the statistics on it, and he's saying they didn't answer it correct. They wrongly say. So he's just pushing this narrative as well. I mean, aren't they supposed to be impartial and just give you the facts? No, he's got to make a comment on it.
What's interesting, though, and it comes back to how we started this show today, which is overwhelmingly in the Washington Post exit poll, the overwhelming thing that people who voted for Trump, which was clearly a huge, majority of people, was people who voted based on they care about people like me. 89% of those people went for Donald Trump. And part of this is that these people believe, and rightfully so, the country is being stolen, literally in this case, from them. And whether or not the election was actually stolen, it was. I can say that here, can't I? Get away with that. Look, again, and I don't believe in some national conspiracy. I've never been a person that believes that Pennsylvania got with Michigan, that got with, Georgia. But when you have all of these deep blue capital cities where you have all Democrats making the decisions, and the same thing happens in all of these places. And then on top of that, you have a place like Pennsylvania, which totally subverts the will of its legislature. I mean, you had a Republican legislature there who on January 6th were waving their hands going, no, please don't certify the legislators were saying this. They act like it's only these, insurrectionist conspiracy people. The literally elected legislators are saying, please don't certify our election because what happened here was illegal. It happened in Indiana too. Think about it. That same thing happened here where they just changed the election day. Connie Lawson and Eric Holcomb just waltzed out one day and said, we're changing election day. You can't do that. Well, who's going to stop me? Certainly not this joke of a Republican legislature we have here. They did the same sort of stuff here. It's not that much different. It's just we're so Republican that it wasn't worth the time or effort or anything else to institute the operation necessary to pull this off. But in Pennsylvania, you literally had a governor and a secretary of state just go, screw you, legislature. We're going to do this on our own.
And silly Mike Pence thinking that people are going to vote for him to be president.
Well, but what's interesting to me is, when these people in the primary, when there were still people running, would get asked this question about did Biden legitimately win the election, they'd hem and they'd haw and they'd go this way and that way. When the reality is Republican primary voters were looking for someone to raise their hand and say, no, he didn't win legitimately. What happened in Pennsylvania was crap. What happened in Michigan was crap. What happened in Georgia was crap. And they wouldn't do it because they're so beholden to this connected group of people who they were worried, they might not give me money, or they might not this, they might not that. People believe this country is literally being stolen from them, and that's why Trump keeps winning, because he's the one guy who they think is going to fight for them.
Okay, we're going to get to Michigan in just a second, but I wanted to play this clip for you. This is the Biden National Security Advisor, Jake Sullivan. Here we go. Russiagate 2.0. I mean, this guy was pretty much the architect of the 2016 Russian collusion hoax, right? Now, here he is again. It's an election year, let's remind you. And here he is saying, who's going to interfere in our upcoming election? Well, on Meet the Press, he said, it's Russia.
I can't speak to evidence today, but I can tell you, of course, there are concerns. There is a history here in presidential elections by the Russian Federation, by its intelligence services, and there's plenty of reason to be concerned. And this is not about politics. This is about national security. It is about a foreign country, a foreign adversary seeking to manipulate the politics and democracy of the United States of America. We're going to be vigilant about that, and we will engage the Congress on a bipartisan basis, because this should be above and beyond politics.
So I'm confused. So they stole 2016. They took 2020 off. What was Putin on holiday or a vacation?
Right.
So he took 2020 off, and now he's back to steal 2024.
Right. Is this Russia hoax 103, 104? Which one is this?
It is insane that any person thinks that the Russians could ever steal an election. You know how they would be able to is if you hooked the elections up to the internet, which the Democrats do want to do. And by the way, there is a huge push in Indiana to go back to paper ballots. You know who is not supportive of that, despite running on being supportive of that, was Diego Morales. And once he got in there, he was told how it was going to be, and he is no longer supportive of that. But it is impossible to steal an election by a foreign country unless you hook the elections up to the internet. How did the Russians pull this off in 2016? And the bigger question is,
why did they take
2020 off?
It's very selective, isn't it? It's kind of like those solar flares. Okay, so the governor of Michigan, Gretchen Whitmer, she said on Sunday that she's not sure what's going to happen in her state's Democratic primary, because there's a lot of uncommitted voters in her state. They're not really liking Joe Biden.
I don't have anything. I don't have anything. I don't.
That would be Corinne Jean-Pierre.
Yeah, that's
she
Corinne
also has
Jean-Pierre.
no idea what's going on, much like Gretchen Whitmer.
Yeah.
All right. Hey, what can we do this? Can we take a break? And when we come back, I've been really struggling over the weekend. I was kind of trying to think, like, explaining how I feel about the world right now, Casey.
Okay.
About the country. And, sometimes I get a little animated with my passion when I start talking about the direction of the country and the direction of our cities and our state here in Indiana. And so I found an old movie clip, and I thought, well, this in many ways really does kind of explain how I'm feeling about the direction of the world right now. And so I took it upon myself to modernize an old famous movie clip, and I think it'll really sum up how I'm feeling right now about the world.
All right, we'll get to it. Coming up from 93 WIBC.
Hammer and Nigel.
Joe Biden speaks gibberish. Joe Biden has a hard time walking. He can't find his way off of a stage. Don't give me this crap that Joe Biden's cognitively all there and way superior to Donald Trump in that category. This stapler that we've got in the studio is completely more qualified to be running this country right now than Joe Biden.
Hammer and Nigel, weekdays 3 till 7 on 93 WIBC and WIBC.com.
The invasion on our southern border is threatening every community. But Senator Mike Braun is standing up for Hoosiers and fighting Biden's border crisis. Mike Braun is a leading voice for policies that will put an end to our broken southern border. That's why Mike Braun is endorsing reforms in Indiana to end sanctuary cities. Currently, local elected officials are abusing their positions and harboring illegals by declaring sanctuary city status. These leaders refusing to cooperate with ICE and border officials must be stopped, and Mike Braun is endorsing the plan to put an end to this policy. Indiana Senate Bill 181 will eliminate this lawlessness and require local authorities to take action against illegals in their community. Mike Braun knows we must act now to end the border crisis. Contact your Indiana state legislator at 1-800-382-9841 and let them know you join with Mike Braun in supporting Senate Bill 181, paid for by HoosierHope.org.
That moment when you realize your furnace is stone cold busted. We're talking a real put on every sweater you own, I can't feel my feet, penguin predicament. But fear not, there's an expert for that.
Right now, get a furnace for free when you purchase an air conditioner from Broad Ripple Service Experts.
Like it toasty? There's an expert for that.
Call Broad Ripple Service Experts at 866-EXPERTS. See website for license details.
Small business owners, we know finishing your to-do list can feel like climbing a mountain, but that mountain is also covered in banana peels. Then when something new gets added to your list, you're like, nope, I'm already climbing this huge, super slippery banana peel mountain of a to-do list. At Progressive, we don't want to make your day any harder. That's why we make it easy to manage your policy on our mobile app, so climbing that banana peel mountain feels more like a leisurely stroll. See if you can save on commercial auto insurance in as little as 6 minutes at progressivecommercial.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Coverage subject to policy terms and conditions.
Tune in to the Absolute Retirement Planning Show.
When retirement comes about, we're now relying on what we have saved to meet those needs.
Sundays at 9 a.m. right here on 93 WIBC.
For a limited time, B is offering 45% off with no payments and no interest for 20 months.
That's Faber's Bean Window. Trust me.
You're listening to Rob Kendall.
How can you listen to this wacko?
And Casey Daniels.
Yeah.
Yeah, baby.
93 WIBC.
So everything old is new again? Is that what you're telling me?
Well, I've had enough, Casey.
Okay.
I've had enough.
Uh-huh.
And, I get the pleasure because, well, thanks to taxes in the state of Indiana, the property taxes, the gas taxes, all the taxes, and then, of course, the inflation thanks to Biden. So, I mean, I've got bipartisan offenders here in terms of it's Biden and the inflation, the Republicans and the taxes. Everything is just so out of control. And I have to now work a second job on the weekends, and much of that time, especially in the winter, is spend my time there staring into the abyss by myself. And my mind starts.
I thought you were going to say surfing the internet.
Well, I do that too. And it's
not a bad job.
There used to be a promo. Do you remember this when and I don't hear it much anymore, but it was called "A Mind is a Terrible Thing to Waste." Do you remember that? The mind is a terrible thing to waste.
Yeah.
And this mind, I mean, quite honestly, Casey, would be a terrible thing to waste. And so things just come up in my head, and I was pondering, like,
more than most.
How could I articulate about how I feel about the world and what's going on in the world? And I just got down the rabbit hole of the YouTube as I was staring into the abyss / playing on the internet yesterday.
Yeah.
And I found this famous movie clip from the movie Ghostbusters.
Okay.
And when I was a boy, Ghostbusters was absolutely 100% my just favorite movie, and I loved Ghostbusters, and I started watching it, and they get to the scene where they get put in the jail, and they're still trying to kind of plead their case, and they pull out the drawings of that building that Sigourney Weaver is living in, and Harold Ramis, Egon Spengler, starts talking about this guy, Ivo Shandor, who built the building, and it's the catalyst to bring Gozer to the world, to bring about the end of the world. And he just starts talking about the history of Ivo Shandor. And I kind of realized the more he talked about Ivo Shandor and how he viewed the end of the world, maybe I've become Ivo Shandor because I'm ready for the Lord to just take me now in terms of how incompetent the government has become and how just, I think the real catalyst for me was seeing that Washington Post exit poll where they talked about how 89% of people are voting for Trump based on he gives a damn about me. We would rather nominate a guy who is so mortally wounded than any of you other people because we don't believe any of you other people. Think about all those people who ran on the Republican side for the nomination. You don't care about us at all. And I think that's, for someone like me, is so frustrating because I look at this and I see it happening everywhere. Do you believe your city or town government cares about you at all? Do you believe that they're making choices that are about you and your family? Look at the irresponsible growth, the just out of control bullcrap that has happened in our donut counties the past 10 or 15 years. And it's never stopping. They know the resources are running dry. They know we're running out of water by 2048, and they just keep building. They keep irresponsibly growing these communities. Look at the state of Indiana.
Look at the LEAP project. There's not even enough money to build what they currently want to build, let alone the future.
And they keep going. Why? Because that's what Holcomb's donors and lobbyists and World Economic Friends want him to do. And the Republicans here aren't standing up for you at all. The legislature could stop all of this. The Republican supermajorities could stop all of this. They don't do a damn thing. They know you are in huge trouble on your property taxes. They don't do anything. Can't even begin to get started on what's going on a national level. And now they've added this country's now added $34 trillion to our nation's debt and well over $1 trillion every single year. And they know what it's doing to you and they don't care. And I realized, Casey, I have become Ivo Shandor and I am ready for the end of the world. And I had to make a couple edits to make it a little more, relevant and timely to this show and our audience. But here it is. Here is Rob Kendall.
After the
2020 election, Rob Kendall
decided that society was too sick to survive. And he wasn't alone. He had close to 1,000 followers.
Each day on WIBC.
They conducted rituals up on the roof. Bizarre rituals intended to bring about the end of the
Biden presidency, Indiana Republican Party, and Brownsburg Town Council.
And now it looks like it may actually happen.
So be good. For goodness sake. Whoa, somebody's coming. We have to get out of here.
Isn't that just how you think a lot of people feel each day? Because they look around and we have such gifts in this country, Casey. We are so blessed to have the system of government that we do and the ability of people to lead and care about us and make decisions that are best for us. And yet time and time and time again, whether it's the local governments or the state governments or certainly our national government, none of these people care about us at all. I am ready to head up to the top of the Emmis building and start some ritual with 1,000 of our best listeners and bring about the end of all of this.
Okay. You know what? I think Drake wants to take you on a cruise. So maybe start there instead. That's a little more positive.
I struggle with this because there's part of me that says, okay, how do we affect change from the inside? How do we work inside the system?
Every day by talking about it on the radio.
Well, but
that's your job.
That's it.
That's how you can affect change.
I think I'm kind of maybe done. I don't know if I'm ready to throw in the towel yet because I know how miserable it makes them. But I think I'm maybe done going to meetings. I think my goal each day may just be burn the thing to the ground and humiliate and shame as many people as I possibly can because that's what you're doing to the taxpayers, the local people, the state people, certainly the federal people. You're humiliating and shaming this country and simply trying to go to a meeting and telling you how you're ruining everything doesn't appear to be working. So maybe that's a waste of time, Casey. Maybe I just need to step up my game here.
I don't know. I mean, is the aquatic center being built? Didn't they put that on hold?
Not yet.
They put that on hold, right?
Not yet.
Yeah.
But that's a lot of effort. I could just come in here and roast people and look at Kev. He's smiling and nodding. Kevin totally agrees. Don't you want me to do that, Kev? Wouldn't that be a better use of my time just to humiliate and shame as many of these elected people as I possibly can each day?
Yeah, you already do that.
Right, exactly.
You just want to step it up more.
I'm talking about, in Popeye when he takes the spinach and the mussels run up and down and then the theme song plays in the background. I'm talking about maybe that level.
You're talking about elevating?
Yeah, I'm talking about maybe upping my game a little bit.
Okay.
I've been kind of complacent lately.
Oh my God. You're talking about upping it, okay? Hold on. We've got your voicemails on the way from 93 WIBC.
Our country is being invaded. Thousands pour across the southern border every day, bringing fentanyl and violence. Who's to blame? Career politicians like Jim Banks. As a member of Congress, Jim Banks said that Indiana needed an influx of immigration. Jim Banks campaigned with political insiders like Paul Ryan and is endorsed by Mitch McConnell, who sabotaged the building of Trump's border wall. Jim Banks has betrayed Indiana on the border.
I'm John Rust, and I'm running to be your next United States Senator. I'm a farmer, businessman, and political outsider. In the wake of the continued invasion of our border, I have challenged Jim Banks to join me in signing a pledge to remove Mitch McConnell as Republican leader in the United States Senate. It has become absolutely clear that a vote for Jim Banks is a vote for Mitch McConnell. I am John Rust. I approve this message because I'll vote to remove Mitch McConnell and make sure Trump's border wall actually gets built from the Gulf of Mexico to the Pacific Ocean.
Paid for by John Rust for U.S. Senate.
Some days I cover up because of my moderate to severe plaque psoriasis. Now I'm hitting the road with clearer skin thanks to Skyrizi, Risankizumab Riza, a prescription-only 150 milligram injection for adults who are candidates for systemic or phototherapy. With Skyrizi, 3 out of 4 people achieved 90% clearer skin at 4 months. And Skyrizi is just 4 doses a year after 2 starter doses.
Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions and an increased risk of infections or a lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check for infection and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor if you have an infection or symptoms such as fever, sweats, chills, muscle aches, or cough, or if you plan to or recently received a vaccine.
Thanks to Skyrizi, there's nothing on my skin, and that means everything. Ask your doctor today about Skyrizi, the #1 dermatologist-prescribed biologic in psoriasis, and visit skyrizi.com or call 1-866-SKYRIZI to learn more.
When life happens, Michelis happens to help you through it. That includes water, storms, fire, and the whole insurance mess. Working hand in hand with the claims adjuster, Michelis is your advocate, your voice, your local trusted advisor for cleaning up, building back, and moving forward when disaster strikes. Now that is an insurance policy. Make it Michelis. Call 844-FIX-INDY.
LD Smith Plumbing.
A dirty, stinking honest.
The crew at LD Smith Plumbing has deep roots in Indiana. Unfortunately, most of the trees around here have deep roots too. And if it isn't roots in your pipes, it's a water heater ruined by sediment. No matter the plumbing problem, we'll show water who's boss. So if you need a new water heater, call us today and save up to $300 on a tankless water heater or $150 on a storage water heater.
LD Smith Plumbing.
A dirty, stinking honest.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
A meeting over spending. Radar is clear. It's 56 and sunny downtown. I'm Kirk Darling. Here's what's trending at 10:30. A meeting of the top dogs in Congress and the top dog in the White House. Fox's Jared Halpern.
House Speaker Mike Johnson, Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer, and the minority leaders of the House and Senate, Hakeem Jeffries and Mitch McConnell, will meet with President Biden here tomorrow, days before a partial government shutdown is triggered Friday. The White House says President Biden will also stress the urgency of passing a bipartisan national security supplemental spending bill. House Republican leaders have not yet set a vote, insisting the package also include tougher border provisions. At the White House, Jared Halpern, Fox News.
Well, the first U.S.-built spacecraft to land on the moon since 1972 is alive and well after tipping onto its side over the weekend. Houston-based Intuitive Machines says all indications are that the lander is stable and that the intended landing at the intended landing site near the moon's south pole. Shares of the company nearly doubled on word of its successful landing, only to tumble about 30% in late of the day on the sell-off on Friday after word came out about the slight mishap. I'm Kirk Darling, on the level, on the go, and on WIBC.com.
What is 988?
It's a free 24-hour suicide and crisis lifeline.
And what is a crisis?
Maybe something you experience so often.
You don't even think it's a crisis.
Anxiety over money.
A stressful relationship.
concerns about a loved one's mental health.
If you are experiencing thoughts of suicide or mental health or substance use crisis, call or text 988.
It's a listening ear.
And it's a way forward.
Let Bill Estes put you behind the wheel of the powerhouse brands that define American toughness. Ford, Chevy, Ram, and GMC. BillEstesTrucks.com. BillEstesTrucks.com.
You're listening to the Kendall and Casey Show on 93 WIBC. It's time to hear from you. Kendall and Casey present Voicemails. Brought to you by QC Kinetics for non-surgical regenerative medicine treatment at 317-559-PAIN.
This is the portion of the program that we turn over to you and hear your voicemails at 317-684-8444. It is Kendall and Casey on 93 WIBC. So launched earlier this month, Todd Rokita's Eyes on Education website. This is a website that allows people to submit and view examples of what he calls socialist indoctrination from classrooms. So somebody wanted to call and talk about Todd Rokita.
Hey, Rob and Abdul, please stop hating on Todd Rokita. Todd Rokita's set for life, right? He's got $183,000 a year from his retirement from the goddamn Congress. He's got an airplane that he flies around to his campaign. Todd Rokita's doing all right, so stop hating on him, right? Find something else to do. I mean, every time I turn the radio on, it's either you or Rob trying to hate on Todd Rokita. He's not going to get disbarred or suspended or anything else. You had to pay a $250 fine. Leave Todd alone. He's all right. Remember, he was a go-go bar bouncer at one time. Look how far he's come.
Well, I don't know if that's true.
I don't know either.
Look, you know,
I think he was joking.
Well, I don't know. That guy calls the show all the time, and we're glad that he listens. I never know with him whether he's being serious or listening or not listening. You know, I had this conversation with somebody over the weekend who is pretty close to Rokita, and I've never changed my story on Rokita because I think there's some people now that Rokita may have a very spirited convention fight on his hands. I mean, look, the establishment is definitely going to run someone against Rokita. And I think now that they recognize, oh, shoot, especially if in some form or fashion his law license is suspended, even if it is with reinstatement, he's got a major problem on his hands. And so I think there are some people in the Rokita orbit, and Todd, don't hate these people. They care about you and they love you, who are interested in trying to figure out if there's some way our worlds can live together, like, you know, ebony and ivory, perfectly in harmony, or whatever, however those lyrics go. And here is what I told this person. I have never changed this story about Todd Rokita. I thought Todd Rokita was a very good Secretary of State. I thought he did excellent on things like voter ID in the state of Indiana, because Todd Rokita, when he was Secretary of State, while he may have had, and he certainly did have, political ambition, the nuts and bolts of his job, he was a normal, competent person, and he got a lot done. He was an okay congressman. I don't really hold his lack of accomplishments against him because it's impossible to get things done. But he was willing to do things like shut the federal government down and things of that nature. So, I check a box there. But something happened to that guy when he ran for United States Senate. And look, the idea of power and the idea of influence, and we see this all the time with people in politics, changes. People lose who they are. There's a lot of people who go to Washington, D.C. who I think are pretty well-intended.
And then
they get
stay
totally
there for
lost.
A while. Yeah.
And something happened to Todd Rokita when he ran for U.S. Senate, which just totally changed his ability to function in a normal, professional, competent fashion. I like a lot of Todd Rokita's politics, and I'm still not going to change that, even though I think the way he's behaved is an embarrassment. I like a lot of his politics. He just can't get out of his own way. And I think it would serve him well to steal a line from someone else in the Holcomb administration to just back off the bull crap. You're attorney general. Just do your job. You don't need to send out press releases about how you're fighting the establishment or whatever he called the disciplinary commission. You don't need to go on Fox News and bash the abortion doctor. Just take care of it through the legal channels, which if he'd have done, if he'd never gone on Fox News, Casey, this is the crazy thing about this.
He would have never been in trouble.
Right.
And House Bill 1265 probably would have never been written.
That's correct. Todd Rokita, it's like, it's like Mickey's Christmas Carol, and I am Jiminy Cricket, and he is Ebenezer Scrooge. I am the ghost of Christmas past. Remember, Scrooge, you did you did these things to yourself, and then you just yourself. Remember, Todd, you did these things. You created these memories yourself. If he had never gone on Fox News, he still could have gone after that abortion doctor. He still could have got everything he was going to get anyway, plus probably more, because it probably tainted in some shape, form, or fashion the investigation, case made, etc., against getting stricter penalties, because probably those people were like, wait a second, this guy's already in hot water over going on Fox News. So if the goal is to get stuff done, you did the exact opposite of what you wish to accomplish.
Did he ever accept our invitation?
No, he did not. I've not heard back.
Okay.
No, but it would serve him well to come on here, because he's going to get, he already has. I think Abdul reported that somebody's already running against him at convention. There'll probably be more than one person.
Okay, we've got another phone call. This is the guy who calls often. I'm not going to say every day. I'll change it to often.
Is he mad that you said every day? Did he try to get you on a technicality?
He wanted to correct me.
Oh.
He likes to pick apart everything we say. But I think, Rob, I feel like he's coming around.
Oh.
I think he's warming up to us.
Just to set the record straight, I don't call every day. When I call you, it's usually when I'm out driving around, and basically you have to listen to WIBC because Matt Baer gives the best traffic conditions of anybody on the radio. Good job, Mr. Baer. Anyway, you guys have a good weekend. Goodbye now.
He does have a point that Matt Baer does a fantastic job, so let's not take anything away from Matt.
However, not during our show.
No.
Matt Baer is not on during our show.
No, he doesn't give traffic reports during our show, does he?
Matt Baer's last traffic hit is before our show.
So he likes to listen because he likes us.
And it's okay that you listen because you hate us. This is what always gets me. It's like, look, it all counts the same towards my bank account, and we love to hate. We feed off, well, you not as much as me, but
right.
I feed off the hate. So you can admit I listen because I hate you, and it's okay, and I do this all the time. There's a lot of people I listen to, Casey, that I don't agree with politically, but I think they're phenomenally talented broadcasters or entertainers, and I listen to them, and I say, this is great. This is great stuff. Even if I find myself disagreeing with them, it's okay. You can hate me and still listen. It's fine.
I have noticed a little bit different in his inflection, because he left a couple other messages, and they seem to be a little softer.
Yeah, it's okay. Just
he's warming up.
It's okay to call in a minute and say, I listen to you guys because you're very entertaining, and I vehemently disagree with you on a whole bunch of stuff. But thanks for the entertainment each day.
Thanks for the thought-provoking.
You don't have to make up stories about I'm here for Matt Baer, whatever.
Right. We know you're here. We know why. Okay, another phone call, and this is about Nikki Haley and her spending other people's money.
Last Friday, you had a caller in there talking about Nikki Haley staying in the race and all that. It's pretty easy to stay in the race when you're spending other people's money. She may be able to do that, but I have a conscience. There's no way I would be spending other people's money to lay out my plans. But I think it was right on what he's doing. I've heard polls that say that Nikki Haley would blow away Joe Biden in an election, and I've yet to see how the rest of the country is reacting to that. Okay, thanks for taking my call, man. See you.
Okay, so the Koch network said they're done giving her money, right?
You're out. You're cut off.
They're ceasing their financial support of her campaign, but she has enough bankrolled to keep her going for a while, at least through March 5th.
Yeah. Well, okay, but the end of that call is correct. Poll after poll shows Nikki Haley is a much easier sell, And there's cats, by the way, so he'll agree with me on this. He can hear me right now. I've heard him say this. I think he uses the term easier lift. Don't you love it?
He likes the fact that she's in.
Don't you just love that he can clearly hear us talking about him, and he just kept walking? He didn't even stop. He didn't come back. He didn't wave. You know, normally the kind of the broadcaster creed is if you hear your name or whatever, you'll wave. He just kept on going. But anyway, I've heard Tony say this, and he's right. Anybody other than Trump would probably be an easier lift in the general election. But it comes back to the most important part of the Washington Post exit polling, which is, why would you want someone that you don't believe in or you don't believe cares about you? What are you winning if you get Nikki Haley? Would she maybe be a minuscule amount better than Joe Biden? Maybe. Who knows? How many times have the Republicans gotten in there and been every bit as bad as the Democrats? And I think people are saying we're done with licking whatever boot the establishment puts in front of us, and we don't have to play by your rules anymore, and we're not settling for whatever garbage you stick in our face. We'd rather lose than win with somebody who we're going to lose with in the end anyway.
She's doing the waiting game. I really think that she's just sticking this out because she thinks something is going to happen to Trump that he won't be able to be the candidate. And she's just thinking that that's going to be her argument.
Don't you love that he just kept walking? He didn't even stop.
Which way was he going?
He was going this way. He was going towards maybe he went to the restroom.
He's got to go to the bathroom.
Could be.
Maybe he's in a hurry there to go to the bathroom. All right, let's get one last phone call. Kevin, can we skip ahead to the one called B-ball? Of course, you had the IU-Iowa game last week, and we had asked, hey, if you have gone to this game, please call us. Let us know about your experience. And somebody actually went to the game.
Hey, guys. I just heard on the radio you were looking for people who attended the Iowa-IU game last night. And we went. My husband and I took our 6 kids, and we were some of those that got in line early so that we could get courtside with our general admission seats. And it was a great time, and I really feel like it was a good game. And as far as Caitlin Clark goes, people may pin her as a whiner and a flopper, but all the girls were doing that, and arguing with refs, the coaches were doing that. It just, all around, I think that it was an aggressive game. And at the end of the day, Caitlin Clark at her presser, she had nothing but good things to say about IU and how they brought on a good game, and she was grateful to play in Assembly Hall. And she leaves it on the court. So I feel like a lot of this hype is definitely brought on by the press and the media. And I think that she is doing the best that she can as far as like having a positive outlook for everybody else. And as far as her breaking Pistol Pete's record, no one's done it yet. And so I think that it's awesome that she's able to do it within 4 years. I think it's something that should be mentioned. And I agree with Casey. I think it's awesome that she's elevating women's sports, and people are drawn to her and bringing some attention to it. So thanks a lot.
6 kids. That's what I couldn't get. I didn't hear anything after she said 6 kids. I'm sorry. What was she even talking about?
At that point, you're doing the numbers in your head. You're calculating about how much that costs, not only to go to that game, but just to eat and live.
Well, I think about the stress of taking my one child
to
somewhere.
Let alone 6 kids. I'm glad she had a good time, and I'm glad that she called and told us how she felt about that, because I agree. I didn't think that Caitlin Clark, she got shut down by IU. And in her press conference, she really didn't play the victim. She didn't come up with excuses. She pretty much just said, they did a good job.
You've had a kid. Can you imagine if you had 5 more?
No.
And then taking them all somewhere?
I wonder what kind of car they drive.
Do you think they got one of those, remember in preschool or daycare where they'd have the rope and everybody holds on to the rope?
Yeah.
And you got one parent or the
leading the way,
and then one in the back.
It's like a little row of
you
ducklings.
You got to do that with 6 kids. Unbelievable. Give that lady a medal of some sort.
Hammer's going to join us next. It's Kendall and Casey on 93 WIBC.
Hammer and Nigel Show, 3 o'clock this afternoon. The biggest stories of the weekend, the biggest stories in Indy, and we've got tickets for Rob Zombie to give away. We're going to have a good time. We start after the news at 3, 93 WIBC.
Kate here from Baths R Us with the 3 biggest problems people always have with bathroom remodelers and how Baths R Us overcomes them all. First, it takes too long. Everyone's heard the horror stories of jobs that drag on for weeks or months. But at Baths R Us, we're in and out in 2 or 3 days, and it looks stunning. Problem number 2. The final bill is more than the original estimate. Baths R Us doesn't give estimates. We give ironclad quotes. We remodel over 1,500 bathrooms a year. You can be confident there will be no last-minute surprises. And problem number 3. They don't do the job right. Baths R Us only hires master craftsmen who are trained and certified and who use the highest quality materials. That's why we're proud to offer our no regrets promise. Your personal guarantee that you'll love your new bathroom. Call right now and get $1,500 off plus low to no monthly payments. Our number is 317-886-1761 or online at bathsrus.com. That's bathsrus.com.
I'm from Perry Township, down on the south side of Indianapolis. My family, we're Southside Catholics. We believe in hard work and keeping our word.
Indiana businessman Jefferson Shreve.
I was still in school when I started my own business, but I made sure those values were at its core. Keep your word, serve your customers, and work your tail off. But let's talk about the mess we're in today. The left's pushing their agenda, our culture's under attack from the far left, and don't even get me started on the border. I took on the left and their lawlessness in Indianapolis, and now it's bleeding into our suburbs and rising from our southern border. It's time to fix the problem in Congress. And we could fix this if the politicians would just do what they say they will, like we do in our business. But they don't. We need a fighter. We need law and order and liberty. And so I'm running for Congress. For law, order, and a secure border, I'm Jefferson Shreve, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Shreve for Congress.
A house isn't a home without a little wear and tear, spilled milk, or muddy paws. But don't just clean it, quick shine it. Hey, Pat Sullivan here for Quick Shine Finishes and Cleaners with some Floor Care 101 tips. First, no matter the surface type, be sure to remove dust and debris. Avoid heavy chemicals or all-purpose liquids as they can damage the sealant layer or leave an oily residue. Now, to best clean and protect your floors at a modest price, don't just clean it, quick shine it. Quick Shine Finishes and Cleaners use ingredients that make it better for kids, pets, and the environment with an EPA Safer Choice certification. And Quick Shine has a full line of products to treat any surface, including their floor cleaner, floor finisher, and hardwood floor luster. I use it on my own floors. Made right here in central Indiana for over 60 years by Holloway House, a family-owned company. Quick Shine Finishes and Cleaners is available at retailers everywhere.
What people suffering from nasal breathing, snoring, and sleep apnea problems want is for their issues to be fixed. And at Advent, that is precisely what we do. Here, there are no Band-Aids, but there is a thorough approach to get to the root of your problem. And in tens of thousands of cases, finding simple solutions, which are undeniably effective, have made remarkably positive impacts on people's lives. I'm Dr. Madan Kandula. For years, patients have been traveling literally from around the world to come to us to find what no one else has been able to give them. And that's why now we've come closer to you.
If your quality of life has been diminished because of nasal breathing, snoring, or sleep apnea problems, and you don't know who to turn to, go to adventknows.com to schedule your appointment, because Advent knows when you breathe well, you live better.
Breathe well with simple solutions. Breathe well with simple solutions. AdventKnows.com.
Results may vary.
Your home is your sanctuary. Get the peace of mind you deserve with a free estimate on a Generac automatic standby generator for your home from Generator Supercenter, the nation's #1 Generac generator dealer. With expert installation and 24-hour monitoring, Generator Supercenter won't leave you in the dark. Financing is available. Take control of your power today with Generator Supercenter. Call 317-827-0808. Generator Supercenter of Indianapolis, 317-827-0808.
Hammer, guess what I am doing tonight? You'll be so proud of me.
What's that?
Going to the Pacers game.
I am too.
Are you?
Yes. Did we just become best friends?
Yeah.
Are we betting on it tonight?
Well, if I did, I would bet on the Pacers because
Well,
I'm
I think
a
I am
homer
too.
like that.
Rob, you're a gambling degenerate like I am. Are we in on Pacers tonight?
Oh, totally. Yes, absolutely. Well, because I'm playing with house money. Why, Hammer? Because I'm the only person in the entire world who had Maverick McNeely finishing in the top 20 at the golf tournament.
Son of Pete Mitchell and Peter McNeely, the guy that came back against Mike Tyson.
Yeah, I'm 3-0 in the golf this year, and that's my real talent. Hammer will tell you.
It's like a new career for you.
I'm horrible at the sport. I just generally leech off Hammer. Other than the golf, I'm pretty good at the golf.
Yeah.
I saw this. Did you guys? You probably didn't watch it. Saturday Night Live. Shane Gillis was on.
Yeah.
And he did that sketch about sports betting. I saw that, and I totally thought of you guys.
We all know a friend who struggles with online gambling. A friend who's on the verge of losing everything. His house, his family, his entire life. And now you can bet on exactly how he'll lose it all. It's the only app that lets you take prop bets about how your degenerate gambler friend is finally going to hit rock bottom.
Will it be goes double or nothing on a random WNBA game? Or bets his child's college fund on the coin toss?
And when your friend is desperate for cash, you can bet on what his lowest moments will be. Will he take out a life insurance policy on his own mother? Will he set up a fake GoFundMe that says he has leukemia? And what will he sell first? His PS5 or his kidney?
Gonna bet on what you're betting on.
Yes. But last time I checked, I think the Pacers line was around 6.5. I don't know, but I'll have to keep an eye on it.
Yes, any more than 6 sounds like a lot. Even though, as you said, I can't name one guy other than Scotty Barnes on the Raptors.
Yeah, they're a shell of what they used to be. Bruce Brown, Pacer for
That's right.
half of a season, is on that roster.
Imagine if you're him and you got traded for Siakam, because he was in that Siakam deal, right?
Yes.
And it's you go from the Pacers to the Raptors.
And Pacers have won 2 straight coming out of the All-Star break. Yep. Big win against Luka and the Mavs yesterday. So have to take a look at it. But yeah, I'm totally in on this. And don't forget, next Monday, we begin Meltdown Madness on the Hammer and Nigel show. We've seeded out some of the greatest political, celebrity, athlete, coach meltdowns of all time. There are so many, some really good ones didn't make the list.
Yeah, I got one that I would just like to say, and I'm not saying you've done anything wrong, but I am saying the fact that, and I don't want to disclose the whole list, but if you could find it in your heart, well, not that you have one, but if you could, let's pretend you did. How did the Denny Green? I mean, it's such a strong list, but
the Bears are who we thought they were, and we let him off the hook.
Because the best part is this never talked about thing at the end, where after he goes on this just rage, some poor staffer walks up to the podium next to him and goes, "Okay, Matt Leinert's going to be in room C3C."
When you see the field, you're going to know, like, I can't cut anybody from this field.
Yeah.
Because we've got, like, celebrity meltdowns, musicians, like, it's all there. So unless you're top 3 or 4 in your specific field, I don't think you're going to make it through. Like, I don't know if Allen Iverson's practice is going to make the field or not, because I can't cut Bob Knight. I can't cut Jim Mora. I mean, we're going to roll out the field. We're going to have a little selection show here Thursday.
Oh, how exciting.
On this segment. We'll get the bracket lined up. There's a play-in game this year. I cannot wait for Meltdown Madness to take place.
And that's going to start on Monday, you said.
Yes.
And Casey, we've got to find a little Cinderella
I know,
like we did with
one that we
Velvet.
want to propel to the top.
Yeah, and so we'll see what the list looks like. But I'll tell you what, if you as your, and I mean, look, maybe the selections, committee has closed their doors, but if there's a little voice in there for Denny Green and angrily pounding the podium and that poor staffer that had to approach afterwards.
I'm telling you, once we roll out the field, Rob, you're going to see it's a tough cut.
Yeah, I know.
There's still time for me to make a change. I can be talked into it, but I don't think I could cut anybody out of this field.
I know. What's coming up this afternoon?
This afternoon, Marcus Bailey will join us. Chances of some tornadoes tomorrow. We've also got Guy Relford, and it is biggest stories of the day. A lot going on. Rick Snyder, FOP president. We're going to get into it.
Thank you, Hammer. You're listening to Kendall and Casey on 93 WIBC.
Everyone wants energy that's reliable and affordable. I've been a Duke Energy line worker here in Indiana for almost 20 years. So I'm proud to help deliver that for the people and the communities that matter most to me. With stronger, more resilient systems, better able to stand up to severe weather, and support for local businesses and jobs. It feels good knowing I'm helping build a smarter energy future for all of us.
Paid for by Duke Energy shareholders.
Franciscan Health has been your hometown leader in heart care for decades. Recognized in 2024 by Health Grades as the #1 hospital in Indiana for cardiology, and by CareChecks as #1 in Indiana for major cardiac surgery and interventional coronary care, we're proud to keep the hearts of our community beating strong. Franciscan Health, where our greatest reward has always been serving you. Take a heart risk assessment or schedule an appointment at franciscanhealth.org/heartcare.
When life happens, Michelis happens to help you through it. That includes water, storms, fire, and the whole insurance mess. Working hand in hand with the claims adjuster, Michelis is your advocate, your voice, your local trusted advisor for cleaning up, building back, and moving forward when disaster strikes. Now that is an insurance policy. Make it Michelis. Call 844-FIX-INDY.
Indiana Pathways for Aging helps Hoosier Medicaid members age 60 and over get support at no additional cost to live life their way.
Mom's Parkinson's is progressing, and Pathways provides in-home support so she can be with family every day.
Pathways coordinates Medicaid and Medicare services. I'm getting help with meals, personal care, and transportation.
One day, I might choose a nursing home, but today, I have options with Pathways.
Eligible members can select a plan now. Call 87-PATHWAY-4 or visit in.gov/pathways.
I'm Chris Riccobono, founder of Untuck It. When I started the brand, I wanted to make the perfect fitting untucked shirt. And over the years, we changed the way guys think about how they dress. The secret was our obsession over fabric quality, listening to what our customers wanted and making everything fit perfectly. Our fit team has mastered pants, polos, sports coats, and more. So we've got you covered from head to toe. Try what millions of guys already know and love. Shop today at untuckit.com or our 80-plus stores worldwide.
Welcome, race fans around the world.
For me, May is special.
500 miles, 33 drivers, and one guaranteed place in history. This is the greatest spectacle in racing.
May is yours.
Joseph Newgarden wins the Indy 500.
May is ours. Is it May yet?
Get tickets for the 108th running of the Indianapolis 500 presented by Gainbridge at IMS.com.
Did you know one of the best investments you can make? It's in yourself. At My Computer Career, in just a few months, you could start your new career in the high-demand, recession-resistant field of information technology. Isn't it time you invest in you and start a career in networking, cybersecurity, AI, or upskill to boost your current IT career? So, get the ROI you deserve at My Computer Career. No experience necessary. Start now at mycomputercareer.edu.
Financial aid is available for qualified students, including the GI Bill.
Woodard, Emhart, Henry, Reeves, and Wagner. Over 140 years specializing exclusively in patent, trademark, trade secret, and copyright law and litigation. On the web at uspatent.com.
For a limited time, B is offering 45% off with no payments and no interest for 20 months.
That's Faber's being window. Trust me.
Coming up in 2 minutes, what you can expect as severe weather is in the cards for tomorrow. Plus, what happened in a shooting in southern Indiana involving a cop and how the new farm bill may impact Hoosier farmers soon. I'm Kurt Darling. That and more coming up from the Technology Recyclers studios after Fox News Radio. You're listening to 93 WIBC, WIBC HD1 Indianapolis. It's 11 o'clock.
He has appealed like he vowed he would. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. Former President Trump's lawyers filing in court in New York, appealing the judge's ruling that the Trump organization committed fraud, fining him with interest that accrues daily, now up to $454 million.
He and the other defendants in the case had 30 days to appeal the decision by the judge who had found them liable for fraud for misrepresenting the value of Trump Organization properties. The former president has denied wrongdoing. It's not the only recent civil judgment against the former president. In January, a jury awarded writer E. Jean Carroll $83 million in damages in her defamation suit against the former president.
As Fox's Tanya J. Powers, there's also news that a motion to stay that ruling hearing has been denied. And just like former President Trump had pushed for, the head of the Republican National Committee will step down March 8th. Tomorrow is the next GOP presidential primary after the 20-point Trump victory over Nikki Haley in South Carolina Saturday. The former president will go to the border Thursday. He'll be in Eagle Pass, Texas. And we've also just learned President Biden will go to the border that same day for the second time, going to Brownsville, Texas.
Last time, though, was in January of 2023 in El Paso, Texas, for about 4 hours, talking with Border Patrol and checking out the area. This comes as the president is now reportedly eyeing executive action, trying to slow the border surge.
Fox's Alexis McAdams in Eagle Pass. The president's also on the ballot tomorrow in Michigan.
Progressives are hoping to inflict some pain on President Biden in Michigan's primary. Rashida Tlaib, the Democratic congresswoman, is still so upset about President Biden's refusal to push Israel for a ceasefire in Gaza. She wants Democrats tomorrow voting uncommitted.
Fox's Peter Ducey. As Israel keeps waging war in Gaza, they're working on a new offensive in Rafah. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu tells Fox.
Evacuating civilians out of harm's way and destroying those battalions. I can tell you that Hamas will be doing everything in their power to make sure that we don't evacuate the civilians.
America's listening to Fox.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
You get everything. Radar is clear. It's 58 and sunny downtown. I'm Kirk Darling. Here's what's trending at 11:02. Severe weather likely happening tomorrow for much of the state. The threats?
Pretty much all of them. There's definitely a chance for severe winds. Large hail.
Tornadoes possible too, says David Beechler with the National Weather Service. He says anywhere from Jasper and Seymour on up are on a greater risk for strong storms at some point tomorrow. A person shot to death at an apartment complex over the weekend. It was Sunday near the 38th Street and I-65 interchange north of downtown at the residence at White River Apartment Homes. And police say that's the same apartment complex where someone was shot a week prior. Police say he had a gun. Harrison Silcox reports on a man walking along a trail at a nature preserve.
9 Penny Branch Nature Reserve is in Clark County. That's where Charlestown police were responding to a welfare check Saturday afternoon. The person they were checking on was believed to be armed and later found walking along a trail. Officers say he was holding a gun when at least one bullet was fired from a gun pulled out of a cop's holster. State police have not identified the man shot, but he's expected to recover. The officer who fired their weapon, they were on administrative leave. Harrison Silcox, 93 WIBC Mobile News.
A lot of the food you eat comes from farmers. Brent Bible with Stillwater Farms in Lafayette says an updated farm bill needs to be passed in Congress to make sure that costs for him and other farmers are affordable.
We've made some excellent progress the last 5 or 6 years in regards to conservation practice funding. And we certainly want to maintain that.
If costs run too high or farmers are hung out to dry, Bible says that can affect what you pay at the grocery store in a negative way. The Indiana Pacers have won 3 games in a row. Miles Turner had 33 points against the Mavericks last night in a 133-111 win.
The biggest goal for all of us in here is to get to the playoffs. Being a contributing factor to that is something that means a lot to me. I know it means a lot to the city, so just continue to put on and be the best version of myself.
The Pacers have the Raptors tonight at 7. I'm Kirk Darling, on the level, on the go, and on WIBC.com.
Spring is here and you want to be enjoying your life, enjoying the outdoors. It is impossible to do if you're in constant pain. Pain in your hips, your back, your shoulder, those joints, whether it's arthritis pain, sports injury, an injury on the job. Talk to QC Kinetics and you don't have to live with the pain. QC Kinetics here in Indy, and it's the nation's leader in regenerative medicine. We're talking about lasting joint pain relief with no surgery, no drugs, and no downtime. Pro athletes have been doing this for decades, but now this life-changing treatment is available for you. Walk, run, climb the stairs, play golf, move again with no pain, no risky surgery. It's an all-natural solution. QC Kinetics is in Eagle Creek, in Greenwood, and in Carmel. Call today, 317-559-PAIN. 317-559-PAIN. Talk to QC Kinetics. They even have Saturday appointments available. QC Kinetics. Find the location closest to you. Eagle Creek, Greenwood, and Carmel. 317-559-PAIN.
This hour on 93 WIBC, powered by HelloCalo.com.
You're listening to Rob Kendall.
When we talk about sending money somewhere, we're talking about printing the money because we have no money.
And Casey Daniels.
My government would never lie to me, would they?
On 93 WIBC.
Good morning. It is Monday, February 26th. It is 5 minutes after 11. You're listening to Kendall and Casey on 93 WIBC. So that illegal immigrant who is accused of killing that University of Georgia nursing student, Lincoln Riley, he apparently entered the United States back in September with his wife and their 5-year-old son. They allegedly got married so that they could have their asylum papers together. And he was then bused to New York City after entering the country through El Paso, Texas. And then he was arrested on child endangerment charges while he was in New York City, and then he was released and that record was sealed. He then moved down to Georgia so that he could be with his brother Diego, and then him and his wife were separated.
Okay, so real quick, I just want to stop so everybody understands what you've just said there, that this guy, look, it's all bad, because anytime someone is murdered or killed, that's horrible. And it sounds weird to say, but I'm just going to go ahead and say it. It's even worse when it's someone who shouldn't have been in the country, because it should never have happened.
Yeah.
It should never have happened. And it's even worse, is not a word. More worse? What's the grammatically correct?
Horrible, horrific, awful, terrible.
It's even more horrific. Perfect. Thank you, Casey. When it is an illegal immigrant in this country, we knew he was there. He was arrested,
He
Casey.
was arrested and let go.
So you have somebody who's in the country illegally, knows that the system can be manipulated, which he was attempting to do, then has so little respect. Casey, I am 40 years old. You are also
older than that.
Also older than 40. And I can proudly say that neither of us, well, I don't know about what you did before you were 18, but or 21, whatever. In the past 3 decades, how about that?
Yeah.
Neither one of us have been arrested. This guy is in the country
illegally
for less than 6 months or so, and he's arrested. You've got to try to get arrested in this country. Like, I was watching these DUI body cam. That's my new guilty pleasure.
Yeah.
Is there's these, and they're all on YouTube now, where they'll take the DUI body cams of the police officers as they pull these people over, and it's like you're watching these people who get pulled over. It's like, you've got to try in this country to get arrested. Like, you've got to make a concerted effort to get yourself arrested. I know. I drank a lot in my life, Casey. I was once so inebriated I tried to lift an arm of a parking lot crossing. And you know what? I never did get arrested. Why? Because I had decency as a human being to know you don't harm other people, you don't mess with the cops, you don't, all the things you do to avoid getting arrested. And yet this guy's in the country for 6-ish months, and he's arrested.
Already arrested.
And they let him go.
They
what? How? Somebody explain to me how you can be in this country illegally to begin with, then you get arrested on top of that, and getting arrested as an illegal immigrant in this country does not immediately get you deported out of this country.
Right. It's awful. This entire thing makes me so angry. And the brother that he went down to live with in Georgia had also been arrested for drunk driving and was working under a fake green card. Why are either of these people here?
It really tells you a lot about how these people view this country, because you're always told, well, you know, it's just hardworking people who just want to come here and be a part of the American dream. No, many of them want to just suck the life out of this country. Because if you actually cared about, first of all, if you actually cared about the American dream, you would come in the right way. You would have enough respect for our laws and our country and what that represents to come in the right way. But take that out of the equation. If you were here, wouldn't you say, I so love this thing that I'm trying to be a part of that I'm going to be a straight-laced non-citizen? I'm not
going to cause any problems.
No, I'm going to keep my head down.
Yeah.
And this guy.
No.
And look, I was watching a documentary. Dateline's got this new thing out called The First Day, and I just do things that kill hours at a time now as I run the daddy daycare service. And I love Dateline NBC, and They have this last day, I think it's called the last day, where they take the last day of a murder victim's life and then they work backwards how the police solved the case based on that. And this was one of the ones they had. It was in Iowa, of this poor girl who was murdered by an illegal immigrant and how long it took them to catch this guy because he was an illegal immigrant. And it is like it just seems like we hear these stories all the time of these people who shouldn't even be in this country and are killing law-abiding people who are minding their own business.
Yeah. Her body was found in a wooded area by the University of Georgia campus. She was just out on a run, minding her own business. A nursing student, 22 years old, brilliant future, and completely cut short by brute force, trauma. So this wasn't even painless. It was a horrific way for this beautiful young woman to go. I feel so heartbroken for her parents. And of course, when you hear of these things,
real quick, don't you believe that we should do in the death penalty in this country, we should do exactly to the person what they did to someone else? Whatever the thing is, it should be done to them.
Go out the way you went. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that would deter, because let's face it, this needle in the arm, everyone goes to sleep thing is not nearly severe enough. The gas chamber stuff, not severely near severe enough. I think you wouldn't stop all of it, obviously, but you would stop, I think, a lot of it if people knew, if I get caught, the same thing I did to this person is going to happen to me.
Well, it just
Are
makes
you all right?
wonder,
You're getting very emotional about this.
because this touches me differently.
Because your daughter's this age.
Same exact age.
Yeah.
And I think it just highlights, people say, well, we're not a border town. This isn't going to happen here. Georgia's not either. Yeah. Athens, Georgia, that's miles away from the border, yet that's exactly where it happened. And I talk to my daughter all the time about this, hey, you okay? And I text her and it drives her crazy because things like this happen.
Sure.
That girl was not doing anything to this guy.
Right.
She was just out on a run, trying to be physically fit. And this happened to her. And a couple other things that bother me about this. One, this doesn't bother me about it, but Marjorie Taylor Greene is calling for the death penalty for this guy. But another thing that bothers me about it is a local TV station here in Indianapolis. Their headline for the story was the tragic death of 22-year-old Lankin Hope Riley highlights the ongoing violence against female runners. You're kind of burying the lead there.
Yeah, no kidding.
Okay, the lead is that this was an illegal immigrant who did this, who was already in jail one time and then was released.
This girl is dead because of our system of governance. Period. End of story.
Yes.
We have the ability to keep probably 90%. I mean, people go, no, we don't. We sure do, because you know what? Trump's first year, 300,000 illegal immigrants. Last year, 3 million. So we do have the ability to keep 90% of these people out of the country if we want to. That's a statistical fact. Look it up for yourself. 300,000 illegal crossings in 2017, 3 million last year. We do have the ability to keep 90% of these people, even more if we actually really wanted to, if we actually did the things necessary. And when we catch these people, get rid of them.
Mm-hmm.
Send them back. Send them back to their countries of origin. Get them out of here. No more of this. Let's process your paperwork. We'll see you in 2 years. These people are breaking the law.
Well, now you've got Venezuela that is scrapping the deal that allows the U.S. to deport some of its citizens back home when they're linked to crimes. Venezuela is saying, nope, we don't want them back.
Then put them on a boat and push it into the ocean and send it in their direction and say, good luck. I hope you find somewhere nice to end up. I am so sick of us always being beholden to everybody else. We are the United States of America. And time after time after time, whether it was that girl I saw over the weekend on the Dateline thing in Iowa, or this girl in Georgia, or that poor girl out in San Francisco that was the famous, this stuff happens all the time where these people who shouldn't, there's enough bad people who can be in this country. We shouldn't let bad people who shouldn't be in the country get away with this stuff.
So now President Biden is planning a trip down to the border. He's taken a lot of he has not come out and said anything about this, by the way. Just silent on this. But now he's making a trip down to the border on Thursday.
Because it's an election year. You think he'd be going if it weren't an election year? He's been to the southern border one time in 50 years, Casey. Now he's going.
Yeah, now he's going. But yet he still has not come out and said anything about Lincoln Riley specifically.
And don't you love that he's claiming, or the rumor, they put the rumor mill out there or whatever, that he's going to take all these executive actions now to secure the border,
Where's he been?
Exactly.
He could have been doing that all along.
Exactly.
He didn't want to.
But it's another example of, let's just bring us all full circle, of why in that exit polling in South Carolina, the number one quality people were looking for is, does someone understand and will they fight for someone like me? 89% of those people voted for Donald Trump because they recognize, again, this is our theme for today, that time and time and time again, these politicians prove they do not care about you.
It is 16 minutes after 11. It's Kendall and Casey on 93 WIBC.
Tony Katz.
It's been, as the kids say, a minute.
But a fortnight.
Well, they say fortnight, but that's about the game. To which I am excellent. And I can victory royale like nobody's business.
You play with your kids and you finish last on the leaderboard every time. That's
and no part of that is true, although I do play with my kids. Wait, some part of that is true. I'm solid. When we duo, then I'm terrible. But when I'm solo, giddy up, which is not something you want to put on your Tinder account.
Tony Katz, mornings 6 to 9 on 93 WIBC and WIBC.com.
Hey guys, it's Rob, and you know what's that old saying? New week, new us? Something like that. I don't know, close enough. Anyway, maybe your new week means looking for a new church home or even a first church home. And if that's you, can't recommend enough my fabulous friends at Life Church. Life Church is warm, they're welcoming, they would love the opportunity, like many WIBC listeners have found over the years, to show you why Life Church is such a special place. Yeah, that's right. Many WIBC listeners over the years have found a home at Life Church. They got campuses in Noblesville, Fishers, Eagle Creek, and Pendleton, in addition to awesome online services. Learn more about it all, lifechurchin.com.
If you're facing $10,000, $20,000, or even $30,000 or more in credit card debt, medical bills, or other unsecured debt, there are programs available that can consolidate those debts into one single reduced monthly payment you can afford if you qualify. Accredited Debt Relief is on a mission to help you become debt-free in just 24 to 48 months. They've helped over 300,000 qualified consumers, hardworking Americans just like you, pay off more than $1 billion in debt, earning them an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau. Accredited Debt Relief will tailor the program to fit your specific budget and financial situation. So call Accredited Debt Relief now for your free no-obligation savings estimate and let them help you take control of your financial destiny.
Call 800-530-3939. 800-530-3939. That's 800-530-3939. 800-530-3939. Program and services not available in all states.
For John's 60th birthday, his family planned to drive down Old Route 66. But the trip took a detour when his wife got sick with RSV. It's a highly contagious virus that can lead to breathing problems and hospitalizations.
This year, we don't want to cancel our plans. We're protecting ourselves with Pfizer's RSV vaccine, Abrysvo, respiratory syncytial virus vaccine.
Abrysvo, a vaccine to prevent lower respiratory disease from RSV in people 60 years and older. It's not for everyone and may not protect all who receive it. Don't get Abrysvo if you've had an allergic reaction to its ingredients. A weakened immune system may decrease your response. Most common side effects are tiredness, headache, injection site pain, and muscle pain. For full prescribing information, please call 1-844-989-7284 or visit abrysvo.com.
So don't wait. Ask your pharmacist or doctor about Pfizer's RSV vaccine, Abrysvo, because every breath matters.
Small business owners, we know finishing your to-do list can feel like climbing a mountain, but that mountain is also covered in banana peels. Then when something new gets added to your list, you're like, nope, I'm already climbing this huge, super slippery banana peel mountain of a to-do list. At Progressive, we don't want to make your day any harder. That's why we make it easy to manage your policy on our mobile app. So climbing that banana peel mountain feels more like a leisurely stroll. See if you can save on commercial auto insurance in as little as 6 minutes at progressivecommercial.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Coverage subject to policy terms and conditions.
For a limited time, B is offering 45% off with no payments and no interest for 20 months.
That's Faber's being window. Trust me.
It's the Kendall and Casey Show with Rob Kendall and Casey Daniels.
I told you to see that you're in love with each other.
On 93 WIPC.
Maggie, I think I got something to say.
Here's a rock legend we haven't had the conversation about. It is 20 minutes after 11. It's Kendall and Casey on 93 WIBC. Rod Stewart.
What about him?
We have never talked about Rod Stewart.
Well, I think, really?
Yeah.
Were you? I'm certain we have talked about Rod Stewart because you were here when he didn't do the encore at that concert at not
The
Deer
concert?
Creek. What's it called? It's not called Deer Creek anymore. What is it? What's the
Ruoff.
name? Ruoff.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, remember, I think you had just started here because I had just gotten married.
Okay.
So I know you had started
So
here.
we have had a Rod Stewart conversation.
So Rod Stewart, I really did this primarily for my mother. She loves Rod Stewart.
Mhm.
So I got tickets for my parents, and my wife and I went to Ruoff to go see Rod Stewart. This would have been in 2022. And, you know, he's doing the traditional Rod Stewart, you know, it's outfit changes, and he's doing the hits, and, you know, every woman is a perfect 10 all around. You know, it's the whole Rod Stewart thing. And he is done, and then he starts to come back out for the concert, the encore.
Mhm.
And I don't know whether it was some sort of time ordinance or what, but they refused to turn the microphone on. And he was just like, he just stood there for 2 or 3 minutes, tried to talk, and was like, all right.
Guess I'm done.
See you
so
later.
he wanted to sing an encore, and he did not have the ability to?
I would have. I don't know. I don't know. It was never fully explained. And if it was a time thing, and Cheap Trick was the opening act, no offense, there's like
They should have cut that
There's
short.
like 2 songs people care about with Cheap Trick, so we could have got done with that in 10 minutes. Why did they go so long if we know there's some sort of time ordinance or you know, got to be done by a certain time or whatever? And what? We couldn't let it go for one song with Rod Stewart. I mean, we're not talking about staying until 2 a.m.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no wiggle room. So I don't know. It never got disclosed, but that put him on my list.
Of bad?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm coming back around to Rod Stewart.
And he didn't do Downtown Train, which is by far his best song.
I used to be okay with him, and then I went through this valley of, oh gosh, no, and now I'm coming back around to liking him. How old do you think he is? Take a guess. Over under.
Okay, so I would say, let's see, if he were 80, he would have been born in 44.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see, he was, when was the Faces were the mid 60s? If he'd have been 20 then, I'll say he's 78.
You're very close. He's 79.
Oh, dang.
Good job. Well, you didn't go over, so that's nice. He's been talking out a lot lately, praising King Charles for going public over his cancer diagnosis. He's been calling out Ed Sheeran, saying, I don't know any of his songs. That's not really music. He cut down the asking price of his LA mansion. It was listed for $80 million, and now he cut the price.
You're giving him credit for that? Like that makes him a good guy?
No.
He
I'm
couldn't
just
sell
letting
it
you
for
know.
the price he desired?
I'm just letting you know what he's been up to.
What does he think? A bunch of orphans and soup kitchen residents are going to be taking over the Rod Stewart estate?
But now he's releasing an album, and this is I don't know, different venture for him. It's an album with swing era jazz classics, and these are from the 1930s and 1940s.
Like a bell that is ringing for me, nobody else. And from the way that I feel when that bell starts to peal, I would swear.
I can tell by your face how you feel about it.
I know I may be falling. I feel like I'm falling in love.
There you go.
Okay, so I got to admit, I am a little jaded about this because so what was that, 15, 20 years ago, whatever it was, when he did those American Songbook, he did those like 3 American Songbook albums.
Mm-hmm.
And my dad had those, and it was like every time we were in a car, it was on nonstop. And so I was ready to just gouge my eyes out.
You get a little burned out on
with
Rod Stewart music?
Rod Stewart. It's like some of the Rod Stewart stuff is really good. And in terms of longevity, there are a few people. Because Rod Stewart has been consistently a thing, like a relevant thing. for 60 years, 60-ish years now.
Maggie May was 1971.
Right, and then he was obviously in the Ichiku Park, wasn't that the Faces? And they had the Ron Wood was in there with them. So I mean, obviously, clearly he has a formula that works for him, and I'm not going to be like, he has no idea what he's doing, because that songbook album, or albums plural, sold a gajillion. I mean, Rod Stewart, what a life that guy's lived. Have you ever noticed all of his wives look exactly the same, too? Him and Hulk Hogan, all their wives look exactly the same. If you were to take, now he's obviously not an American, he's British, English. What's the term, Kev? Is it English? Is he British?
He's English. I believe he's from London.
Okay, so he's not an American, so you couldn't say one of the most interesting Americans. But if you were to take people who have been a part of American culture, which I think would be fair to say, Rod Stewart is up at the top of like most interesting people, because what a freaking life that guy has lived.
Do you know he has 8 kids from 5 different mamas?
I did know this, and here is why I was like, and this probably would have been my mid-20s. I was like,
you mentioned his wives. So.
Well, Rod Stewart is the man. So I saw something. I don't know if it was with Diane Sawyer or who it was, but he gives some interview, and it's Christmas, and he is somehow. And some guys, some guys have all the luck. That's Rod Stewart. Because Rod Stewart is not an attractive person. He's not, Brad Pitt. He's not, you look at him and he's not anything special to write home about. But Rod Stewart, in this interview, he's got somehow, and this is mind gymnastics, mental gymnastics, hypnosis. I don't know what he has done, but he somehow has gotten all 3 of his ex-wives, who are all very well assembled, to all still like him.
To get along.
And they all were having Christmas together.
Well.
And they're all sitting on the couch with him, just saying glowing things about him.
Money solves a lot of problems, Rob.
I don't know how old I was, Casey. Early 20s, mid-20s, doesn't matter. I knew at that moment. There's a moment in everybody's life where they say, that's what I want to be. So for some people, they saw Neil Armstrong walk on the moon, and they say that's what I want to do. Or they saw Elvis Presley on the Ed Sullivan Show, and they said that'll be me. For me, that was the moment. Rod Stewart has somehow managed to make multiple ex-wives and a current wife all get along and like each other together and talk glowingly about him. And they all look exactly the same.
Yeah. Well, it's the music, I guess. It probably
that's it, Casey.
Puts them in a trance.
It's the music.
Yeah, like I said, money will solve a lot of problems. The new album is called Almost Like Being in Love. So the Secretary of State, Anthony Blinken, has some new words out that if you work for him, you're not allowed to use anymore. And we'll get to those words coming up from 93 WIBC.
Our country is being invaded. Thousands pour across the southern border every day, bringing fentanyl and violence. Who's to blame? Career politicians like Jim Banks. As a member of Congress, Jim Banks said that Indiana needed an influx of immigration. Jim Banks campaigned with political insiders like Paul Ryan and is endorsed by Mitch McConnell, who sabotaged the building of Trump's border wall. Jim Banks has betrayed Indiana on the border.
I'm John Rust, and I'm running to be your next United States Senator. I am a farmer, businessman, and political outsider. In the wake of the continued invasion of our border, I have challenged Jim Banks to join me in signing a pledge to remove Mitch McConnell as Republican leader in the United States Senate. It has become absolutely clear that a vote for Jim Banks is a vote for Mitch McConnell. I am John Rust. I approve this message because I'll vote to remove Mitch McConnell and make sure Trump's border wall actually gets built from the Gulf of Mexico to the Pacific Ocean.
Paid for by John Rust for U.S. Senate.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
This story is called The Ugly Truth About Timeshare. If you think you've done your family a favor by buying a timeshare, you need my help. Hello, I'm Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group. 10 years ago, I started helping folks cancel their timeshare. In the process, started what's now called the timeshare cancellation industry. The ugly truth is when you buy a timeshare, you can't tell me how much it's going to cost or when it's going to end. I recently helped a couple that had their maintenance fees go from $800 to $3,200 a year. They also received a $4,000 assessment for a hurricane that was over 1,000 miles away. Sound crazy? The crazy thing is, this never ends. Call my office now. If we take you as a client, I guarantee we'll cancel your timeshare or you'll pay nothing.
Call for your free information kit. Call 800-462-3333. That's 800-462-3333. 800-462-3333.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
Both will be at the border. I'm Kirk Darling. Here's what's trending at 11:30. Fox's Jared Halpern reports on why Biden and Trump are heading south.
The president will meet with Border Patrol agents, law enforcement, and local leaders in Brownsville, Texas, a White House official says. President Biden has been pressuring Republicans to approve a bipartisan border and immigration measure negotiated in the Senate. The president's likely Republican opponent in November, former President Trump, is also expected at the border Thursday, delivering a speech in Eagle Pass, Texas. At the White House, Jared Halpern, Fox News.
Social media companies and the way they handle online content is the focus of a Supreme Court hearing today. The court is examining laws in Texas and Florida that were put in place over claims TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, and others dislike conservative speech. I'm Kirk Darling, on the level, on the go, and on WIBC.com.
Some days I cover up because of my moderate to severe plaque psoriasis. Now I'm hitting the road with clearer skin thanks to Skyrizi, Risankizumab Riza, a prescription-only 150 milligram injection for adults who are candidates for systemic or phototherapy. With Skyrizi, 3 out of 4 people achieved 90% clearer skin at 4 months. And Skyrizi is just 4 doses a year after 2 starter doses.
Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions and an increased risk of infections or a lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check for infection and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor if you have an infection or symptoms such as fever, sweats, chills, muscle aches, or cough, or if you plan to or recently received a vaccine.
Thanks to Skyrizi, there's nothing on my skin, and that means everything. Ask your doctor today about Skyrizi, the #1 dermatologist-prescribed biologic in psoriasis, and visit skyrizi.com or call 1-866-SKY-RIZI to learn more.
What is 988? It's a way forward. It's a listening ear. It's whatever help you need, when you need it. The 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline offers trained crisis specialists, ready to talk to you 24/7. If you or someone you love is experiencing a mental health or substance use crisis in their life, call or text 988. Want more information? Visit 988indiana.org.
Let Bill Estes put you behind the wheel of the powerhouse brands that define American toughness. Ford, Chevy, Ram, and GMC. BillEstesTrucks.com. BillEstesTrucks.com.
You're listening to the Kendall and Casey Show on 93 WIBC.
Don't say mother or father or manpower. You're not allowed to do that. It is 11:32. It's Kendall and Casey on 93 WIBC. Secretary of State Antony Blinken, he instructed his employees to refrain from using the words mother, father, manpower. That was in a recent memo. Because it may or may not correspond with one's sex that was assigned at birth.
Oh!
Mm-hmm.
How exciting.
Playing gender identity politics again. So this was an internal memo that he sent around. And isn't it great to know that your Secretary of State is spending his time thinking about these things?
Well, we've seen this like with the military, too, where these people who are in charge of keeping our country safe or dealing with international affairs or standing up to other countries, around the world that are potentially threats to the United States. I mean, they're not taken seriously. They're not seen as serious people. And this is why foreign countries behave in the manner that they do, across the globe with us, because that's why they attack us. That's why they don't fear anything, because these are the things we're focused on.
So the memo says that this can be problematic and conveys a harmful exclusionary message. There are more words that you're not allowed to use if you're employed by the Secretary of State. You guys. Mm-hmm. Hey, you guys, can't do that. Ladies and gentlemen, son, daughter, husband, wife. Those words should be avoided. They should be replaced with words like labor force, everyone, folks, you all, parent, child, spouse, partner instead. And you have to use more specific language. Instead of saying the brave men and women on the front lines,
right,
you have to say the brave first responders or the brave soldiers or the brave DS agents.
See, that's cool thing, Casey. No, I don't. No, I don't.
You don't have to do that. You don't work for him.
And I won't do that. But it is a reminder of why this country's in the position that it's in. That it's always that phrase, what's called rearranging the deck chairs on the Titanic. like, you're incapable of solving any actual problems, which is dealing with, I don't know, countries that want to kill us, destroy us, attack our way of life. You're dealing with international threats all over the world, China, Iran, Russia, whatever. But this is the sort of thing you can't or won't actually stand up to those people and do the necessary things to make America a better place. Southern border, another example. Again, they won't or are incapable of accomplishing actual meaningful tasks. So they'll do this to say, look at what we're doing.
So even last year on Veterans Day, Anthony Blinken posted, "We stand united in honoring the brave men and women who served our country." He did it himself, but now this year, you have to completely modify your language to make certain people happy. That's what he's pretty much saying. He did it himself, but now you can't do it.
Yeah, it's look, this country's in horrible shape, Casey. It's in absolutely horrible shape, and I fear for where we're at in 2 years from now. I fear where we're at 3 years from now. I fear where we're at 6 months from now, because we don't have serious people that are making hard choices, the choices necessary in order to pull us up and pull us out of the position that we find ourselves in. You need people that are willing to look at the world, that are willing to look at this country and say, these things need fixed, and it's not going to be easy, but here's how we're going to do it. And when you have people screwing around on whether you use the word husband or wife or partner.
How do you even have a conversation with someone like a normal person? Hey, Rob, how is your wife? Oh, I can't say that.
Yes.
How is your spouse? How is your partner?
How is your partner, Casey?
He's doing good. They said that some of the commonly used pronouns that you need to consider are they, them, ze, and zer as well. But not everybody wants to let you know their pronoun. I'm so confused. Like, what are we doing? Like, I have to use the proper pronoun, but then on the other side, he says, be considerate because not all people want to share their preferred pronoun. But if you get it wrong, you're in trouble.
My pronoun is Rob.
Hey, you want to talk about the straw poll that they did at CPAC?
Oh, sure.
And that was for the vice president.
How exciting.
Who Donald Trump should have as his vice president running mate.
Right, yeah.
They did this on Saturday night, and they had 17 different contenders to choose from. And Kristi Noem and Vivek tied for first place.
Oh, how exciting.
Tulsi Gabbard was also there, and Bernie Sanders' name popped up. Elise Stefanik was a name, Tim Scott, Byron Donalds, Carrie Lake, Ron DeSantis, and even Nikki Haley.
Look, the list probably isn't all that big of people he's actually considering. I know people said, Tucker Carlson. I don't think that's going to happen. I think Trump is smart enough to recognize he's going to have to pick someone who is palatable enough to the people that he's going to have to court or win over inside the establishment, yet also passable enough to the base. And the most important thing is it's going to be somebody that he trusts will not get squirrely or sideways when the next bad news thing comes out about Trump. He's got to be somebody that will be unwaveringly loyal to him, and that means you got to go with kind of a known quantity. And so I think Tim Scott's probably on that list. Kristi Noem is probably on that list.
Yeah.
Maybe someone like Elise Stefanik, although I don't necessarily think someone. When was the last time somebody from the House of Representatives? So Paul Ryan was picked, but he was a disaster. They're just those U.S. reps just aren't all that tested on a national stage, and so it's kind of a mixed bag. But was George Bush? I know he's the head of the CIA. Anyway, that doesn't happen very often. So, but it's probably down to legitimately. They're probably looking at 4 or 5 people that they feel are in the mix on this thing.
And they should most likely wait at least until after Super Tuesday.
Oh, there's no reason. I mean, there's no reason to rush.
Right.
He's going to win. He's going to be the nominee. And let's face it is a news cycle sort of thing. So you can kind of dominate the news cycle when you make the choice.
So I saw this story and I thought it was kind of interesting. The White House spokesperson, Karine Jean-Pierre, she actually turned down a chance to run Emily's List. She was approached about the position and told the very prominent Democratic organization that she wanted to stick with Joe Biden. She's not going anywhere.
So Emily's list is that radical pro-abortion group, right?
Mhm.
They do all the pro-abortion stuff, and that, I mean, they wanted her to run their organization.
Yeah.
I mean, even if you are a lunatic and pro-abortion, you'd think you'd want somebody a little more competent than her.
She said it's being reported that she thanked the board members for their interest, but declined it because she did not want to leave the White House.
Hey, I was right, by the way. I don't mean to get off topic here, but I was right. George H.W. Bush was a U.S. rep. How good am I, Casey?
That's a great memory.
That's pretty damn good, isn't it?
That's one of those brains that never shuts off.
67 to 71. Anyway, sorry, I didn't mean to get distracted on that. I just wanted to toot my own horn.
Well, I just thought it was interesting. You know, Karine Jean-Pierre, the least competent press secretary
why
in
would you want that?
modern American history.
That's
and
crazy.
They wanted her, and she thinks that she's doing such a fantastic job at her current position that she's like, no. They need me there. I can't leave them.
Yeah, it'd be just too big of a shock to the country if I were to, or too big of a jolt. I mean, my goodness, how would they ever replace her?
Right. Who could gaslight better than me? Nobody can. It is Kendall and Casey. It's 93 WIBC.
Coming up on Tony Katz today, Nikki Haley loses big, so of course she's not leaving the race. That's after the news at noon on 93 WIBC.
I'm from Perry Township, down on the south side of Indianapolis. My family, we're Southside Catholics. We believe in hard work and keeping our word.
Indiana businessman Jefferson Shreve.
I was still in school when I started my own business, but I made sure those values were at its core. Keep your word, serve your customers, and work your tail off. But let's talk about the mess we're in today. The left's pushing their agenda, our culture's under attack from the far left, and don't even get me started on the border. I took on the left and their lawlessness in Indianapolis, and now it's bleeding into our suburbs and rising from our southern border. It's time to fix the problem in Congress. And we could fix this if the politicians would just do what they say they will, like we do in our business. But they don't. We need a fighter. We need law and order and liberty. And so I'm running for Congress. For law, order, and a secure border, I'm Jefferson Shreve, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Shreve for Congress.
If you're facing $10,000, $20,000, even $30,000 or more in credit card debt, medical bills, or other unsecured debt, stop struggling to stay afloat and call Accredited Debt Relief today for faster relief. Depending on your financial situation, you may qualify for a 40% or higher reduction in your monthly payments and only have to make one consolidated monthly payment you can afford. Accredited Debt Relief has helped over 300,000 qualified consumers pay off over $1 billion in debt, earning them an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau. This is the light at the end of the debt tunnel to become debt-free. So make the call to Accredited Debt Relief now and see how much you can save. There's no obligation, so call now and get relief from your debt faster.
Call 800-222-4544. 800-222-4544. That's 800-222-4544. Program and services not available in all states.
The invasion on our southern border is threatening every community. But Senator Mike Braun is standing up for Hoosiers and fighting Biden's border crisis. Mike Braun is a leading voice for policies that will put an end to our broken southern border. That's why Mike Braun is endorsing reforms in Indiana to end sanctuary cities. Currently, local elected officials are abusing their positions and harboring illegals by declaring sanctuary city status. These leaders refusing to cooperate with ICE and border officials must be stopped, and Mike Braun is endorsing the plan to put an end to this policy. Indiana Senate Bill 181 will eliminate this lawlessness and require local authorities to take action against illegals in their community. Mike Braun knows we must act now to end the border crisis. Contact your Indiana state legislator at 1-800-382-9841 and let them know you join with Mike Braun in supporting Senate Bill 181, paid for by HoosierHope.org.
Let Bill Estes put you behind the wheel of the powerhouse brands that define American toughness: Ford, Chevy, Ram, and GMC.
Right now, get a tough GMC truck and save. 2024 GMC Sierras are up to $9,000 off MSRP.
Unleash the power of the road with Bill Estes Trucks. Find the location near you and see their inventory at BillEstesTrucks.com.
All rebates and incentives included in final discount. Stock number BCB 240033. TRX Raptor and ZR2 models excluded from all offers. See dealer for details. Offer absolutely ends February 29, 2024.
Your tax refund belongs to you, not an identity thief. Over $6 billion in tax refunds were flagged by the IRS for possible identity theft in 2023. If you're in a bind this tax season, LifeLock can help. Our U.S.-based restoration specialists are experts dedicated to helping solve your identity theft issues, and all LifeLock plans are backed by the $1 Million Protection Package. So we'll reimburse you up to the limits of your plan if you lose money due to identity theft. Don't let someone else enjoy your refund. Save up to 25% your first year with promo code NEWS at LifeLock.com.
Was 8 years old and running with a dime in my hand to the bus stop to pick.
You've heard this saying probably, Rob, but it's a great place to raise a family, right?
Usually if they're telling you that, it's probably not.
Hey, it's Kendall and Casey on 93 WIBC. So you've probably heard that about Brownsburg before.
You know what they said? You know what the one of these morons who runs Ben Lacey. I didn't want to make sure I get his name out there. You know what he said the other night? One of the council meetings is, and I'm paraphrasing here, I forget. So they approved 264 more apartments in Brownsburg. This was after they previously said, in a rare, probably confused, likely accidental act of common sense out there, hey, let's not approve any more residential. Let's build out what we have.
Yeah.
And then this year they're just approving more residential like it's going out of style.
Let's go with more apartments.
So they approved 264 more apartments off the Ronald Reagan. And then another apartment complex came to them, or would-be apartment complex, and they're questioning this guy. And this idiot Ben Lacey at one point says something to the effect of, well, we like quality here in Brownsburg. And I was just in the back of the room and I just went, ha!
Quality of warehouses and apparently more apartment buildings.
Yes, if you would like to visit hell on earth, you just you just get on 74. If you just take 465, you get on 74 West, and then you take the Brownsburg exit, and you'll see apartment complexes, you'll see warehouses, you'll see high-density family housing. Like, if they put Brownsburg in, remember the game Sim City?
Yeah.
If they put the Sim City, I don't even know, is it still a game anymore?
Oh, yeah. I think it's like on 7 or 8 or 9 or something.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah, they're still cranking that out.
You create cities. You put you put sewage plants and you roads and business districts. You make your own city.
Yeah.
If they put Brownsburg into Sim City, it would be rejected. Does not compute. This is not. This would not function in Sim City, where you could literally, in Sim City, you could put a nuclear plant next to a high-density housing district, and even Sim City would look at Brownsburg and goes, does not compute. Point of all this is, Casey, and I realize I got on a rant here, this is happening everywhere.
Yeah.
These sorts of I don't know if these people are suffering from amnesia. I don't know if they've had serious head injuries. I don't know who is planning these municipal communities, but boy, they need to be institutionalized, many of them.
But it's a great place to raise a family.
Don't you hear that all the time? It's a great, what are they going to say?
Except unless they're going to go to the Brownsburg schools, in which case, you might want to question everything.
What is the option? It is a horrible place to raise a family. Don't you dare bring your children here.
That's one way of saying there's nothing to do here. It completely stinks, but it's a great place to raise a family. All right, well, Study Finds came out with their list.
Oh.
And the list is the best places to raise a family in the United States.
What does that even mean? Like, what is the standard? My standard of raising a family would maybe not be what your standard of raising a family is. What attracts you to a community or what you find valuable might not be what I find valuable. How do they determine great place to raise a family?
Okay, well, the standards that they're looking at are affordability, the housing market, safety, proximity to schools, and also the job market.
Okay, so A couple of those, I would agree. Obviously, public safety is one of them. But it's like, I don't know, the older I get, the more I'm just kind of okay. And this is my goal. We've talked about this. I would like to find 6 wooded acres somewhere where I can just live in obscurity like Shooter in Hoosiers and just be left alone. That's a great place to raise a family for me.
Your idea of best place to raise a family is proximity to nothing.
You know, because
and no one.
It's funny you say proximity to schools because I live literally
next door to the school.
I live across a ditch, literally from the high school. I live right down the street from multiple elementary schools. I live within walking distance of both of the junior high or middle schools or whatever they're called now. And it sucks. You know what it is? Because it's traffic everywhere, Casey. It's horrible infrastructure everywhere. It's sidewalks that are decaying and crumbling. So no, I don't count living next to a school system as any sort of quality life or great place to raise a family. It used to be.
You'll get some roundabouts soon enough.
It used to be kind of cool living next to the school, but not anymore.
Okay, well, this list has Ann Arbor, Michigan as number 1.
Really?
And they say, yes, I was surprised as well. They say it's because of the low crime rate, the good schools, and the amenities as well. Often described as living in a college town with 50,000 trees. The proximity to Detroit, not mentioned on the list. They also have Plano, Texas on the list. And
have you ever been to Plano, Texas?
My parents used to live in Plano, Texas.
Kidding.
Yeah, it's a mile from the sun as well. The thing about Plano is that it is so spread out, but you do have a lot of affordable houses in Plano. They say it gives off a dense suburban feel. The crime rate is well below the national average. Don't know when they did this poll. Was it before or after the border was open? You know, that may have changed. But they also say that there's plenty of family-friendly activities to do.
How exciting.
Such as the Crayola experience in Plano, Texas. If that doesn't make you want to move there, I don't know what will.
So wait a second. The second best place in America to raise your family is based on a Crayola exhibit?
And also walking distance to a park.
That's it. That's the standard.
Irvine, California is number 3 on the list.
Now, before you read this, Casey, I'm just gonna. Who did this? Who was this?
Study finds.
I'm gonna just make a educated guess here, and maybe I'll be proven wrong. Maybe we could get someone from Study Finds to come on. I think they're just pulling it out of their ass because so far
this is very scientific. I've grabbed this from my behind.
I'm not finding anything of actual real merit in what they're listing.
So they put Irvine, California on the list, and they say it has a thriving job market, great schools, one of the lowest crime rates in the nation. One thing they're not mentioning is the high taxes.
Oh, well, of course not.
Right, which also comes with the 16,000 acres of green space that you'll find in Irvine. Overland Park, Kansas on the list, and they also have Columbia, Maryland.
Any
on
Indiana
the list.
places on this? Isn't Carmel always on all of these lists?
Apparently not a great place to raise a family because the list is rounded out with Arlington, Virginia.
Oh, wow.
Affordable housing, great schools situated near...
Affordable housing in Arlington, Virginia!
It's one of the most expensive places to live in the country.
What? Who filled out this list, Casey? I know the organization, but I demand to know the person's name because I would love to do a walking tour of Arlington, Virginia, and let's look up applicable prices of homes in Arlington, Virginia, and that person to tell me that's affordable housing.
Okay, they say the Arlington School District has 41 schools that you can choose from that are ranked the second best school district in Virginia. And another thing that they list, which I would tend to agree with, is that there are a variety of tourist activities. I mean, you can go to the Arlington National Cemetery. You've got the Kennedy Center for the Arts, the Smithsonian National Museum, and of course, everything else down there on the mall, as long as you're protected as you go to Washington, D.C.
I would agree. There's a whole bunch of stuff to do. However, affordable housing, that is not in any way, shape... Can you, you're more familiar with this than me because you have a relative who works in Washington, D.C. It's got to be double or triple the price of homes here.
Oh my gosh, they're really, really expensive.
Right?
Like, Yeah, a 2 to 3 bedroom home that you would find here for maybe $300,000 is going to be well over $500,000.
It's got to be, right?
Oh, for sure. Easily. They also put Naperville, Illinois as an honorable mention.
Naperville, Illinois!
I know. And that isn't Naperville the second largest city in Illinois?
Well, it's right by Chicago, right?
Right by Chicago. Yeah, I had 3 nephews that used to live in Naperville. And that's where we are. Hey, one other update I wanted to give everybody before we leave. AT&T reimbursing their customers for that 12-hour outage that happened last week.
Sorry for ruining your day. Here's $7.
You're not far off. It's a $5 credit. It's not even the actual cash. It's a credit towards your bill. They said that's the average cost for a full day of service is $5 for those that were potentially impacted by the outage. So don't spend wisely, I guess. Or credit wisely.
Let's go home, shall we?
All right. Thank you, Rob. Thank you, Kevin. And thank you for listening today. Hey, Tony Katz is up next. This has been Kendall and Casey on 93 WIBC.
Are you within 5 years of filing for Social Security? Get this, 96% of Americans forfeit an average of $111,000 in Social Security income. And it's because they file for their benefits at the wrong time. And $111,000, that could go a long way in retirement. Hey, it's Hammer and Nigel. Learn how you could wring every nickel out of your benefits with a free customized Social Security analysis from Bill Demery, your retirement guy, right here in Indy.
If you've saved more than $200,000 for retirement and have not filed for Social Security, schedule your free analysis right now by calling 317-648-5120. Learn how you could wring every nickel out of your benefits, and that money is rightfully yours. Schedule your free Social Security analysis by calling 317-648-5120. 648-5120.
For John's 60th birthday, his family planned to drive down Old Route 66. But the trip took a detour when his wife got sick with RSV. It's a highly contagious virus that can lead to breathing problems and hospitalizations.
This year, we don't want to cancel our plans. We're protecting ourselves with Pfizer's RSV vaccine, Abrysvo, respiratory syncytial virus vaccine.
Abrysvo, a vaccine to prevent lower respiratory disease from RSV in people 60 years and older. It's not for everyone and may not protect all who receive it. Don't get Abrysvo if you've had an allergic reaction to its ingredients. A weakened immune system may decrease your response. Most common side effects are tiredness, headache, injection site pain, and muscle pain. For full prescribing information, please call 1-844-989-7284 or visit abrysvo.com.
So don't wait. Ask your pharmacist or doctor about Pfizer's RSV vaccine, Abrysvo, because every breath matters.